like during a pandemic. So how have things been for you down in Florida preparing for this? Has there been much of a change from your usual routine?
Definitely a big change. Normally, I spend a lot of hours at the gym, but it's a lot of it is teaching, or we're doing group classes, and doing the slow drilling, and excuse me. For this camp, things switched right away. Everything was closed, but I did have access to the gym privately. With behind closed doors. I had two training partners that my team, we talked and kind of picked the ideal people to work with to get ready for Amanda. Even though having more bodies is always awesome, I think I picked the right training partners to get me ready for this moment. So yeah, I had two people. We all had a very serious agreement, discussion about being responsible with ourselves outside of the hour we spent together every day. Just following protocols and trusting each other to do that, because we were at the time, it's kind of like almost like risky behavior to have contact with a human. But yeah, we worked through it. My team was fully behind this opportunity. They bent over backwards to help me. And aside from that, a little bit of time in the gym, which was great. I had to do other creative things. Finding my own workouts to do. I was very motivated to work out. So I still did at least usually twice a day doing something, and work in the park. Lots of parks were open for outdoor activities. So we had I got a good tan working out outside more. So yeah, everything I needed, I found a way to make it happen, and I felt great about the camp. Everything we did was 100% intentional and focused on Amanda, which isn't isn't normally how camp goes either. So I got a good one in.
Last one for me. Amanda's been on such a great run. So many fighters have tried and failed to get the better of her. What's the key that's going to separate you from those other challengers?
I'm me. I'm just different. I feel every fighter feels different in the cage, of course, but I think I just have a different background, a different skill set, a different pressure, a different grind, and I'm super motivated to take this belt home. I'm hard to take out. It's gonna be, and I know she's hard to take out. I am confident in being able to finish, but if I need to just win every round, that's what I'm gonna need to do, and I'm ready to do that.
All right, thanks very much. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
And we'll take our next question from Caroline Pierce with BT Sport.
BT Sport. I got to ask you, when you drove into Las Vegas and saw your face on the billboard, what did that moment mean to you and feel like?
It's always just kind of crazy. It really just makes the moment big, but at the same time, I'm so grounded with what I have to do first. Like that billboard is like super cool and awesome to see, but I know, it's a representation of something big, a big opportunity for me. It was definitely reminiscent of seeing a billboard for my first title fight for Invicta, with way back in the day, and it just kind of made me feel like all these similarities of the experiences that I've been having leading up to this moment. A lot of it feels kind of familiar, and it just makes me feel like have really good feelings about how it's gonna work out for me.
And you've also faced a legend before in Chrissy Cyborg, and despite the loss, your stock really rose in that fight. Fighting who is the greatest of all time, the GOAT, Amanda Nunes, does that bring any different feeling, whether it be pressure, extra motivation, or just a different sense as to what this is all about for you?
It's just as exciting. The big opportunity that I had last summer, it kind of felt like a title fight, and I think a lot of even media were kind of slipping up and calling it like a title or a 5 round fight, because she had held the belt for so long. There's definitely, like I said, all of these experiences that I've had before the UFC and in the UFC, including the Cyborg fight, have just made this moment feel really familiar. This week feels really familiar. It feels so comfortable, like I always do. But I'm definitely ready for this moment, and you don't always get such a big opportunity, and this is my second big opportunity that I get. So this one's mine. I'm taking.
Although a lot must feel familiar, as you said, it's got to feel quite different being in Las Vegas when it's so quiet and you're not going to have a crowd and you're going to be in that smaller octagon. Have you prepared yourself for that in any way?
I think we've been preparing for this for months. The whole world we're all adapting and going through normal. And we, like I said, we roll with the punches so well. We're just we're looking at what we need to do and just doing it. And sure, things feel a little bit different, but I always say, like, we joke around in the gym, like the weirder my camp gets, the more weird things that happen or just weird circumstances, the better I perform. So like, if it's weird, I'm okay with it, and I'm gonna embrace the no crowd. I'm really gonna everything about this camp and this event and this fight week. I'm just embracing it and just go with it.
And it's hard to say that there's any holes necessarily in Amanda's game. Obviously, she's at the top for a reason. But have you identified ways in which you feel is the best way for you to get the title, for you to raise your hand on Saturday night?
I think I just adapt. I can adapt to every moment, and I'm ready to, my mental game, I think, is what's going to win. I don't get stuck. If something doesn't go my way one moment, I don't get down on myself. I don't feel like I'm losing, anything or any momentum. I definitely just take every moment of the fight as a fresh start if I need to. So I feel so confident that even if something doesn't go my way, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be able to switch things up. I'm gonna be able to adapt and use my pressure, my grind, and take it where I need to take it.
Well, we certainly know what you can do on the ground. Do you feel you'll have a slight size advantage in there? Obviously, Amanda fights at 35 and 45, being a true 145-pounder yourself, having that home now in the UFC. Do you think that's something you can take advantage of?
I imagine that I will be a little bit bigger, but honestly, I'm not counting on like size to win the fight. I don't imagine it'll be too big of a difference, or everyone that's standing in front of me, it's not going to be a huge discrepancy, or even if it was, I don't think it plays that much into the game plan, So I fought people that are bigger than me, looking at them and doesn't faze me, so I don't anticipate it would faze her if I was a little bit bigger looking in the cage. So definitely not counting on size to win this, counting on my skills to win this.
And have you heard that she's no longer the lioness? She's now referring to herself as the cactus to us at BT Sport. She said she's going to be very sharp if you come near her. What have you got to say to that?
I love it. That's hilarious. I believe her. I know she's going to be the best version of Amanda, or at least I'm expecting that, and I'm going to be the best version of me, and play it out.
And last question from me. You'll be the first Canadian to challenge for a title since GSP did it against Michael Bisping in 2017. What does it mean to represent Canada and being compared, as you said previously, to Georges St. Pierre?
It's an amazing feeling. Like I said, to have a whole nation of people feeling like they're all behind me, messaging me and just throwing the flag up with me, to represent. So I'm definitely honored to be in this position and lucky to have the support that I have. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can really say other than I'm just like humbled, but also super, motivated to make everyone and myself, just believe in me.
Well, we're excited for this opportunity for you and can't wait to see you go to work. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And we will take our next question from Gabriel Pangalangan with Dojo Drifter.
Hi, Felicia, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you've been pegged as a sizable underdog in this fight, but do you enjoy the underdog status, and do you think it relieves any pressure in any way going into the fight?
I love underdog status. I definitely, I hope I'm always the underdog in a way. It's just nice to know what you're capable of, and hopefully on that night, bring it out and execute what you can do. And in this case, being such a big underdog, hopefully shock the world.
Yeah, so you're looking to shock the world, and Amanda is a dominant two-division champion. If you were to beat her, of course, you're aiming to beat her. Where do you think this ranks in terms of upsets in MMA?
It would have to be a big one. I feel like it would be on a lot of people's lists, maybe like top 5. It's hard. I haven't really given it much thought on the upsets in history. But I know it would definitely be up there for a lot of people. I feel like for like the people around me and the people who support me, it might not be a surprise, but for a lot of people, it will be.
Yes, we've seen it before when dominant champions have their opponents mentally beat before the fight even begins. Where are you before this fight mentally?
I'm great. This is just like every fight. You know, I know the stakes are higher, but every fight is the biggest fight coming. You know, like even my last fight, that was the biggest fight of my life coming up because if whatever happens in that fight is going to determine the future. So for me, Amanda is another human being standing in front of me. And, you know, I always believed that I would not be fazed by big names or anything like that. And I proved it to myself. I proved it to the world, I think, last summer. You know, I truly was not fazed by a, a legend standing in front of me, you know. So I'm honored to stand in front of a legend. Grateful for the opportunity, but I'm not fazed by it. You know, I know it's my skills and another person's skills, and we're gonna fight and see who wins.
All right, thank you and best of luck.
Thank you.
And we will take our last set of questions from Gustavo Falden with ESPN Brazil. Gustavo, please go ahead.
Hi, Felicia. I wanted to know which one and why do you think it's the most difficult? Solving an algebra equation or solving the problem of beating Amanda Nunes?
Depends on the question, I guess. It's I think the skills. And if people don't know, I was an algebra teacher up until last month. The skills. The reason why I love to teach algebra is because it's not about the algebra or the math. It's about the mental capacity to see a problem and solve it. And I think it really translates into fighting too. You know, I think I'm a very composed fighter, and when I'm composed, I can see a problem and find a solution. That's where I was talking about being adaptable. You know, I can see a problem, make a change, and do it better. You know, in the moment. So I think it plays hand in hand with what I'm up against. Just that mental problem solving training all in real time.
And how do you feel, with the pressure that Amanda has on her to being the favorite, being the champion? How do you feel about causing the upset?
I'm excited about it. You know, I know she's confident. I also hear, you know, I believe that she does not underestimate me. I think the world underestimates me more than she does, and I believe she expects a good fighter in front of her. Fortunately, she's going to be fighting me, so I'm going to be not allowing her to make history on Saturday night. To you know, her goal to defend both belts simultaneously and be the first to do that. So unfortunately, I won't be. If I have anything to do with it, I won't be letting that happen on Saturday.
And the last one, usually we say that race drivers, when they put their helmets on, they become like other person, ultra competitive, and they become like wild. You seem like such a nice person. You're just so cute. And then when you go in the octagon, you transform yourself. Tell us a little bit about that transformation from from Felicia outside the octagon and inside the octagon.
You know, I don't think that a great fighter has to be walking around in the street with a mean mug or anything like that. Like I still smile all the time. You know, we goof off all the time, all the way up until the fight. But when I walk out to the fight, I understand that there's someone sitting in front of me that is going to try to hurt me. And then it's not just a sport anymore; it's also survival. You know, it's the survival instinct that kicks in when that cage door closes. And if I don't want to be hurt or lose, you know, that's the sport side of it. But if I don't want to be hurt physically, then I need to hurt her, you know, and you know, the next week I look back and maybe feel a little bad about how things, punching someone or ground and pound or choking. It's like, oh, you know, but none of that matters in the cage. I'm there to be violent. I'm there to destroy in front of me, so that it's kind of like self-preservation. You know, if it's not her, it's me. So I need to make sure it's her that's getting hit or choked or whatever the case, whatever it may be.
Perfect. Thank you, Felicia. That's all the time we had for you.
Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. You can see you. Bye.
And next up, we will be joined by UFC bantamweight Aljamain Sterling.
I get crucified.
No, you can.
We now welcome the number 2 ranked UFC bantamweight contender in the world, Aljamain Sterling. Aljo, thank you for joining us, sir.
Wait, okay. Hey, what am I looking at? This one right here? Or
Yes, sir. Straight ahead. You're good.
hey, what's happening? I should got my chain, man. Damn.
We will take the first question from Rodney Edgar with Cage Side Press.
Joe, what's going on, my man?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, as far as I know, this is the first time you've been to the Apex, right? Or definitely the first time fighting there. What do you think about that place? Pretty nice, huh? And how you feel about fighting there?
It's pretty dope. We got to get a little bit of a tour. We didn't do the whole thing 2 days ago, but we got to see the part that counts the most, which is the octagon. And I'm excited about it, man. There's a lot of history that's going to be in that building, and to be a part of it is going to be a great thing, especially in a time like this where there's so much going on in the world. I think to give the fans kind of somewhat of an escape from reality for a little bit and give us some hope that life can get back to normal. It's gonna be a great part and an honor for me to be a part of that.
I haven't asked anyone else, but I mean, since the UFC is the UFC PI open back up for you guys? I assume it is. So you're able to train over there and cut weight and all that.
Yeah, I'm actually doing my weight cut at the hotel though for tonight, the final few pounds. There's no reason to use the facility right now, for the main part being that we're still stagnant with like the training cycle. So I typically like to train for longer than an hour, keep the sweat going, and push out as much weight as I can in one session so that I can minimize the amount of workouts I need to do. I cut a lot of weight to get down to 135. You could say I walk around 165, sometimes 170, if I'm eating really good. So to get my weight acclimated, I need to make sure I have the sufficient enough time to do it the right way and to feel good and not feel depleted coming into fight night.
Tell me more about this blue padded room I keep seeing you train in, because it looks like an old school, like underground fight club, like when I first started training. What are you guys up to in there, man?
That's the Dog Pound training crew. That's the Ayaquinta penthouse suite is what I call it. It's over in Long Island, New York. 2-car garage. He converted it. That's kind of what we had at his old house that I used to live with him in, and now he just moved. He's living on the water now, moving on up in the world, And thankfully for him and the squad, man, they came through for me in a very tough time for me to get some adequate training partners, high-level training partners at that. So that's pretty much where the training went down. We called it the Dog Pound team, because it's a small confined space, but we're all dogs, dog eat dog, but these dogs are pushing each other. We're not tearing each other down. We're pushing each other to the next level.
All right. Last question for me is on a more serious note. The last week or so, I mean, we don't need to get into the details. Obviously, we know what I'm talking about. I haven't been able to eat, sleep. My anxiety's off the charts. I can't imagine how you feel. I don't have to get into a cage fight. And on top of that, you're a young black man from New York. So can you just kind of tell me how you've been able to cope through a stressful time like a training camp with all this craziness?
I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, it's not easy at all. Losing some sleep. I have to. Good thing I got my sponsors. They make this sleeping supplement, Sleepy Bear Company, and that's helped out a ton to kind of alleviate my mind and kind of just put my mind at ease, because you can find yourself when you're in your room by yourself, just sitting down, and you just start thinking about all these things, and your mind starts racing. So it's been tough during the day. Training takes my mind off of it. Eating takes my mind off of it. And any type of conversation I can have with my teammates that are with me. If we're not talking, then the thoughts come back, and at night they wake me up. So good thing I did bring those to help out. I took some last night and put me out for a while. But then, these are strong emotions, strong thoughts. So, they creep back in there. And at the end of the day, I got a big fight at the end of this week. So I got to really dial it in. Like I said, when I'm training, I'm focused. But outside of that, so right now I'm still pretty focused on the fight. I don't think there's anything being taken away from that. It's just there's just a lot going on in the world. This is just a small part of this. This fight it matters, but at the same time, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things in terms of life. So this is just something to do for entertainment for the fans and for myself to provide it. But other than that, man, there's so much more at stake with everything going on in this world today.
Wow, I appreciate your candor, Aljo. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
And we'll take our next question from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
Yo.
It feels like every time we've talked during the pandemic, there's a different scenario for your fight and the title. And I haven't had a chance to talk to you since everything kind of changed. What is, going into this fight with Cory, a lot of people, myself included, thought maybe this would be the title fight. Didn't go that way. Now we know it's going to be Aldo and Jan. Can you kind of give me your thoughts on the lay of the land now that we know how it's kind of played out?
I think this is really the title fight, just 3 rounds. Cory's got a better resume, let's be honest, than Peter Yan does. He beat Raphael Assuncao, who's been a mainstay in the top 5 of, I think, the last 4 or 5 years. I think that says a lot, to go out there and to dispatch him the way he did. The only people to do that has been Sandhagen and Marlon Moraes. So he beat John Lineker. Another tough dude, tough fight, close fight, split decision. Peter Yan, his latest victory that catapulted him into the top 5 was over Uriah Faber. Not saying Uriah Faber isn't tough, but let's be honest here. He's not the Uriah Faber of old, but he's the Uriah Faber of, he's not the same. He's just not the same. So a win over him doesn't do that for you, I just hope that the rankings and everything gets back to normal, and the UFC can get back to what made them great and what makes us better in boxing, the best guys fighting the best guys. And now that we have a little bit of clarity with Sayuda out of the mix, hopefully this is the last clown fight with Jan and Jose Aldo, and we can start putting guys who are winning back into these title slot positions and not just granting title shots because we felt like they might have won the fight. All that matters are the 3 judges that are sitting case ringside, and everybody else's opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Dana thought they won. It doesn't matter if my cousin thought I won. It's what those guys think, those guys and girls think. So at the end of the day, Jose Aldo has a loss in this division. He's fighting for a world title in this division, which makes no sense.
And Aljo, obviously, your last fight was such a statement performance from you, but then unfortunately, you had to deal with the wrist and then the time off, the pandemic. You couldn't plan for this, but this is a huge fight. This is a big fight for this division. Do you feel like you need to go out there and make another statement, kind of like you did against Pedro Munoz, to secure your spot as the true #1 contender in this division? Even though, again, probably should be for the title, but do you feel like this is a chance to once again cement your position in the division?
Yeah, 100%. I got to go out there and follow up that performance. This fight is interesting because the way I feel about it, I need to inflict a lot of pain, and I know we're both going to go through it. We're both going to touch each other's hearts and see who's going to be the first one to back down and quit. And we both want something. And at the end of the day, unfortunately for both of us, in order to achieve our dreams, we have to crush each other's. And I plan on being the guy to go out there and do that on June 6th.
Have you been impressed by what you've seen out of Cory Sandhagen? His body of work has kind of slipped under the radar considering he does have wins over guys like Assuncao and Lineker. Have you been impressed by what you've seen out of him?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's a tough dude. He's proven himself worthy very, very quickly to take out Assuncao the way he did, pretty decisively. Won a lot of those scramble positions where Assuncao shines on the ground. Lineker, he went toe-to-toe with him, pretty much stood in front of him the whole time, and ate some of his biggest shots. And although he got really, really hurt at the end of that 3rd round, he showed some grit, he showed some toughness. And, the other fights, some of them were a little weird. The Mario Batista fight, short notice fight, and the Yuri Alcantara fight, he got steamrolled in the first minute and then came back from a dislocated arm. So, yeah, he's a tough dude. He showed a lot of wrinkles to his game and some stuff about his character and his mental. So that's what I'm excited about. I want to see who's a tougher, more mentally strong guy out there, and I think that's going to be me. I've been through way too much, man. This is going to be my 14th fight in the UFC. This is going to be his 6th. I just think I got the experience on my side. I might be too soon for him.
And last question, Aljo, kind of playing up on the question earlier from Rodney, with the atmosphere we're living in right now, I know you've been a guy who's never been afraid to speak your mind on any number of subjects. And I saw your interview yesterday with Aaron Bronstetter, really good stuff there. Do you feel like it's important for people in your position to take to this platform and be able to speak about, the atmosphere we're living in with the protests? And we can't ignore what we're seeing all around us. And obviously the UFC this weekend is a phenomenal distraction, kind of gets us back into a normal, sense of normalcy, but we can't ignore what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's a little bit of a shame when I see some fans saying, can you do me a favor and not ask questions to the fighters or the athletes about political stuff because we don't care about their opinions. We don't want to hear that. This is not that platform. If we want to hear that, we would turn to CNN or Fox or ABC, whatever the case may be. I do think it's very, very important. It's something significant that we should take upon ourselves to use the platform to inspire, motivate, and to just to preach being a good person, man. I think that's really what it comes down to. You don't got to get into I'm a leftist or rightist. I'm a Democratic or Republican. You don't have to get into that nitty gritty type of details with everything. But at the same time, I think to show that you do have a stance is very, very important, and to preach the good word of just being a good human being, just being a humanitarian, man. I look out for you the same way you look out for your brother, your mother, the same thing. You know, that's kind of the way I was raised and kind of how I view and look at life. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people are sitting quiet about it. And again, you don't have to be that guy. I understand, like, you look back at like a Michael Jordan, his history, he got a lot of heat because he was one of those people who never used his platform to speak up for the minority community. People kind of do a lot of dirt on his name for that. But in my opinion, that's solely up to you. He had a huge platform. Would it have been beneficial if he had done that? Yes, 100%. You know, just because of his reach and his influence, I think that could have made very, very pivotal waves. Maybe things don't change. Maybe things do change. We would never know because we never had the opportunity where he actually did that. But where I sit, man, you know, I grew up in a neighborhood like that. I've had negative experiences with cops. I've had positive experiences with cops. I got friends that are cops today. I'm an FDNY hopeful. So I understand the camaraderie between cops where they always look out for one another. I do think there's just a lot of things that need to be said. It's like an onion. There's so many layers that need to be peeled back in order to rightfully get to the core of this. And it stems back from 400 or 500 years ago with slavery, just from time and time again, man. It's been passed down. And this is a great country. I love this country. Unfortunately, I was born and raised here with my Jamaican roots intact, and it has a lot to offer. There are some things that can always be better. You go to other countries and there's a lot of things that we would not be fortunate and blessed with to have. But in this position where we are today, things could definitely use a lot of room for improvement. And I think we have to just peel back the layers and have a conversation. And they're tough conversations that not a lot of people are going to be empathetic and understand one another's. And that's the situation that we're having. There's a lot of friction because we are unable to pull ourselves back and look at the bigger picture and see each other's point of view from a different perspective, different lens, wearing their shoes for a day and see what it's like to be a Black man. You would never know what that's like unless you are in this body, you know? So I think it's a little unfair when people always try to downplay what certain people are preaching. And not every protester is right. Not every cop is bad. The same thing, you know, not every cop is bad, but some people are going out there and there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes that need to be addressed, like the whole thing with like the bricks being staged or, you know, quote unquote staged. I don't know. I have no idea, but things just miraculously just popping up. And it's kind of like lighting the fuse or leaving the bait and hoping that someone takes the trap and really starts to go off and cause chaos in this country. And it's dividing us, you know? So I hope we can figure out the reforms, educate and really retrain our police officers, getting people to understand that just because I grew up a different way and my lifestyle is different doesn't mean that you need to be afraid of me. I think at the end of the day, man, we all put our shoes on same way, tie our laces, put our pants on, brush our teeth, and you know, it's we all bleed the same. We all got that same beating muscle in our left chest, and I just think we're all the same, man. I think people need to realize that all these stuff, that how we tear each other down. And again, there's a lot to be said about the Black community as well. Minority community, I think systematically we are oppressed, but at the same time, I think we need to take a little bit more responsibility for our actions. Meaning, so if we get pulled over by a cop, not going crazy and creating a scene when, you know, we feel like we're wrongfully pulled over. This is something I deal with all the time. I still get pulled over. And if a cop doesn't know who I am, when they do find out who I am, my interaction is 100% a lot more politer and a lot nicer compared to when they just think I'm just some random Black dude that they're pulling over, you know? So I do still conduct my way. Yes, sir. No, sir. Hands on the steering wheel. Hey, may I go into my glove compartment to grab you my registration? May I go into my back pocket, sir, ma'am, to pull out my wallet? Yeah, we maybe might not feel like we have to do that because you feel like, oh, we're violating our rights because you wrongfully pulled me over. But I think if we take a little bit of responsibility for how we respond, we can diffuse the situation before it gets to that. that edge and that negative level, that point of no return where someone is taking another man's life because they have a badge on and they feel powerful enough that they could just sit on another man's neck or put him in a chokehold for X amount of minutes and take someone's life, you know. So that's where I said, man, I've had this tough conversation. I have a family of 20 siblings, you know, so I was just on the phone this morning with my sisters, letting them know, like, yo, we gotta figure out ways to do better. You know, we weren't raised like this. People look at me all the time. They say, how the hell did you come out of that family and get to where you are? And, you know, I thank God that, you know, I made some right decisions and my life could have went left real quick and I could have been another statistic. So I'm just fortunate for where I am. I'm blessed that the UFC is giving me this opportunity to use this platform and to fight, make a living, and to provide for myself and really try to shape the future of my family and my future kids. And you know, I think that's all you could do. You be the one that changes the revolving door going forward. Don't just sit on the carousel going around and around. You got to do something different to break the cycle.
Thank you, Aljo. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aljamain. That is all the time we have for you, sir. You are good to go.
Perfect. Peace. They said I won 11:32, or is...
And next up, we will be joined by UFC featherweight Chase Hooper. As a reminder, if you wish to ask a question, please select the hand icon in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you wish to be removed from queue or no longer have a question, please select again. Thank you. And we are now joined by UFC featherweight Chase Hooper. Chase, thanks for the time today, sir. We will kick things off with the first question from James Lynch with The Score. James, please go ahead.
Really a big fight here against Alex Caceres. Was this the type of opponent you wanted in your second UFC fight?
Yeah, I definitely, like, I'm here to kind of take the slow route for sure, but I also kind of want to test myself. Obviously, getting a first round finish, I kind of showed my style. And, you know, I feel like I've been optimizing myself since the fight, and I feel like this is a good matchup stylistically for me. And, you know, the way that I've kind of marketed myself at this point, it's kind of harder to get those, you know, I guess, lower tier fights. So I think I got to kind of take what I can get. But again, at the end of the day, I'd rather take a fight against another, like, high level dude that's pretty well known rather than, you know, against someone that's super tough, but not as well known and would be like a little more detrimental if I were to, you know, not do as well or like a struggle.
You have a lot of wins by submission, and that's sort of Caceres' game. How do you feel like your ground game matches up against his? I know he's got 17 more fights than you, but you must feel pretty confident if it does go to the mat.
Yeah, I mean, I have yet to run into somebody that I've fought that's had better jiu-jitsu or grappling in general than me, so I'm always pretty confident going in there. But I know that he's a veteran. He trains with some like top-tier guys, you know, so he's obviously going to be pretty scrambly. He's going to be probably hard to hold down, hard to take down. But, you know, it's UFC. I'm not here for easy fights. I'm here for, you know, trying to see how far I can go.
How did camp go? Because I know initially you were supposed to, or you were linked to fighting on that San Diego card. I know when we last spoke, you mentioned that camp was going well. Safe to say, that sort of continued after this. So you had a pretty good camp.
Yeah, camp's been phenomenal actually. Even though it's been hard with like all the Corona stuff, obviously to train. I'm sure you're hearing that from everybody, but we've been getting in more quality versus quantity training. So instead of training like 6 hours a day, I'm training more like 2 or 3, but like hard hours of like good cardio, good technique, super focused. I'm feeling phenomenal. Like probably the best shape I've been in my life. So.
And my last question is a two-parter. Have you been mistaken for Sean O'Malley this week? And if not, what does it mean to fight on a card with him? Because that is kind of cool. One of the cool things heading into this fight.
I think that the way that he changed his hair up, I don't think we'll get mistaken too much coming up here. But yeah, it's cool to be fighting on a card with another high-level guy. He seems super cool. From the interactions I've had with him, I talked with him a little bit. He seems kind of down with the whole like Aspen family thing, and yeah, it's cool. I'm excited to watch his fight. It's going to be a good one. So, and they're back to back. So as soon as mine's over, then he's up. It's going to be a lot of Afro action in the cage that night.
Thanks for the time, Chase. Best luck on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks.
We will take our next question from Ezekiel Berganzi with Super Luchas.
Chase, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How do you feel fighting with such a young age in your second fight on a UFC pay-per-view in this context? Like, what's going through your mind right now?
For me, this is, obviously trying to prove myself even more that I belong in UFC. Because I've only had one fight and I'm already fighting like a super veteran. But I feel like I don't feel too different than I usually do. I feel pretty calm. I feel pretty excited to go. Everything's going well camp-wise, so I feel fantastic about all that stuff. But I'm always used to being the younger guy. I'm always used to being the less experienced guy. Like my third professional fight, I took it on 2 hours' notice against a guy with, 15 fights. So it's not the first time I've done something like this. Fighting was like such a big experience gap. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good time.
And what do you think about Alex Caceres as an opponent? Do you have the chance to study him, to watch his game? And what do you think it will be the key factor to beat him, to fight him?
Yeah, so I like this matchup style-wise because he's very flashy on the feet, whereas I'm very flashy with the grappling stuff. So it's going to be both of us trying to kind of counter each other's games. And I just think that he's not a huge finisher. He's not a huge knockout guy. It's not like the last guy I fought where he's, a world champion kickboxer. And I'm scared that he's going to, knock me out the whole time. For me, it's more, I got to chase after him. I got to get a hold of him, obviously, and, keep it from going 15 minutes. I feel like he's more of a point fighter. He wants to, do some flashy stuff and try to, put on a show. But that's going to be my job to counter it. And I think my game will work pretty well against his.
And where did you focus on your game in the camp? Like, where do you train more your striking or more the ground? What can you tell us about that?
All the grappling stuff is always my number one goal. It's the easiest way for me to win, especially against a guy like this who's not necessarily a huge grappler. Obviously, he has skills. That's why he's in the UFC. But I did a lot of cardio stuff because I know that he's a guy that likes to go the distance. He has no problem going all 3 rounds. So I want to be able to, keep up like a high pressure, high pace fight for those 15 minutes and just kind of make the most of it. So that way I don't just get, outscored, and that way I can, make a statement.
Hey, thanks, Chase. Good luck on Saturday.
And we will take the next question from Augusto German-Niesge with Somos MMA.
Hi, Chase. How are you? How's everything going?
Everything's good.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I want to know, as the youngest UFC athlete, how are you living your second fight week with all this coronavirus thing? Because I imagine that maybe in the first one the emotions were stronger. So what has changed since then?
Honestly, I feel like this has been probably the most laid back fight week I've ever had. Obviously, with them not wanting us to leave the hotel too much and to not, to try not to get sick. There's nothing to do in Vegas. Everything is dead. We've just been kind of hanging out at the hotel. It's been great. My weight's coming down. I'm able to work out the whole week, which the last camp I didn't have enough energy, but this time I, did a smarter weight cut, and I've been able to work out hard the whole week. I've been feeling fantastic. And honestly, same thing as I was for the last fight. I'm just excited to go out there and see if I can kind of, work my game against his and show that I belong in the UFC. I'm just having a good time and enjoying myself.
And what about the smaller cage? What do you think about that? Have you seen that? Do you have it into consideration in your game plan?
Yeah, so that was actually the cage. I'm guessing not the same exact cage, but it's the same one that I fought in contender size at least. So I'm already kind of used to that. And again, I'm fighting a guy who tries to stay more on the outside. He tries to, kind of hit and move, be super, in and out. He tries to run away a little more, so I have to chase him down. It'd be a lot easier in a cage that's, 5 feet smaller. I think that benefits me for sure.
And what about fighting in an empty arena? That's something that can be a factor in the fight, or you don't think so?
Again, it's like contender. It's a super small, intimate space. It's just pretty much the bare minimum that they need to run the show. So I'm not really worried about that. Like contender series, it was like silent on the walkout. Because everybody was allowed to bring 4 people. So that's what, like 48 people in the venue, and that's it. So I'm kind of used to that. I don't really care. Like I can't really hear anything when I get in there. It's all kind of muffled. Besides my coach, obviously, it might make it easier to hear him and to hear the other guys coach. So we'll see. I think it'll be a good time. I don't think I'll be affected by it too much.
Okay, thank you very much, and best of luck on Saturday.
And we'll take our last set of questions from Georgi Kokiashvili with Adyara Sport.
Chase, hello. First of all, I want to wish you all the best this Saturday game. I want to ask you that kind of question. Are you looking to finish this fight like you had done in your last 2 fights in the first round? And you said your main goal is grappling game. And are you looking to do some submission skills? And like Alex have the most losses with 7 submission out of 12. And are you looking to finish in the first round with submission or something like that?
Yeah, obviously that's my go-to, being that I'm a grappler mainly. So I always want to, get there and kind of show off my skills as far as that goes. I always try to not necessarily go into fights expecting to finish in the first round. I always go out there and fight hard, but I'm always trying to pace myself and expect to go all 3 rounds, all 15 minutes. And, that's just kind of the way I try to approach the fight. But if I see him hurt, if I see an option, then I'll just kind of go for it as hard as I can. So.
And my last question is it kind of different to train with COVID-19, or is this a normal day in your training day?
Right now it is. Actually, it's even better than it usually is for fight weeks. Because here at the hotel, we have our own workout room, we have our own sauna, we have all the stuff that we need to weight cut. So everything can be done from here, which I'm not necessarily used to. Like most of the time when you travel somewhere, I guess unless it's UFC, because they always kind of provide a workout room, you usually have to figure out somewhere to work out, like, go outside and be like right next to the swimming pool with some shoes on, hitting some mitts, and that's about it. But here having like a full setup, it's great. It's definitely been the coolest fight week I've had so far. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Chase. That is all the time we had for you, sir. And next up, we will be joined by UFC bantamweight Sean O'Malley. We are now joined by UFC bantamweight Sean O'Malley. Sean, thank you for the time, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will take the first question from Caroline Pierce with BT Sport.
Weird not seeing anyone.
Caroline, you're unmuted and good to go.
Hi, Sean. I've got to say, I love the hairstyle. Tell us about this choice for Fight Week.
It's kind of happened. I wanted to do it. I think we had talked about doing it for my debut actually, but I wanted to get a couple wins in UFC and then make a statement. Be kind of get a couple wins in before we did it. But about 2 weeks ago, we decided to do it.
Well, it certainly looks good, and it's definitely a statement. Look, you have been making a statement in the UFC so far, and you said that you want a viral knockout, a knockout that's going to go viral against Eddie Wineland. What does that look like? Talk us through how the perfect finish will look for you.
Yeah, last time I said those exact words on the viral knockout, I ended up knocking out David Nunez in spectacular fashion. In my opinion, it's a little biased, but one of the sweetest knockouts ever. And I feel like this is going to be a perfect matchup for something like that to come about.
What makes this such a perfect matchup for you? You've said that previously, you said it earlier this week, that it's the perfect opponent for you to showcase what you do. Why is that?
Low hands are low. He's a brawler. He's not going to come out there and try to lay on me. The cage is small. He's probably going to try to get started right away, try to be aggressive, and it's kind of what Jose Quinones tried, and it didn't work for him. So whether he comes forward and pushes the action, he'll get knocked out, or if he lets me push him backwards, he'll get knocked out. So it just works out perfect.
You mentioned the smaller cage. Have you had a chance to get into the apex, into the cage, and just get a feel for that different size? I mean, I know you've experienced it yourself before Contender Series, but have you had another little walk around and got familiar with it again?
Yeah, I was there this morning. I was able to stand in there, and it is noticeably smaller than the recent cages, but we spar in pretty small cages, so I don't think it'll play an issue. And like you said, the Contender Series was a smaller cage, and Alfred got knocked out, so I think it doesn't really matter too much the size of the cage.
Now, do you think the stakes are higher for you in this fight than they are for Eddie? I mean, Eddie's been around a long time. He's trying to sort of stay in amongst it. But for you, you're on this surge upwards. Is there a certain amount or a feeling that, the stakes are high for you, especially given the other bantamweight talent that are on the UFC 250 card this weekend?
Yeah, the stakes in the bantamweight division are super high right now with those other fights. Cody, Assuncao, Aljo, and Cory. But I feel like I'm kind of taking a lot of the hype away from those fights, even, which is good. That's what I'm here for. It's pure entertainment. And the nice thing is I have the real legitimate skill level to back it up. It's not just the crazy hair and the tattoos, the personalities. I have legitimate high level mixed martial artist skills. So I'm excited to go out there and show that and keep climbing up.
And what will a win here do for you in terms of climbing up? What sort of opponent do you think it gets you next? Have you allowed yourself to think ahead a little bit as to what name you might call out if you get that opportunity on the mic afterwards?
I'm pretty good about keeping focused on the fight I have ahead of me, especially with Eddie. In those little gloves, anything can happen. But we haven't thought about too much for who's the next opponent. It kind of depends on, how we get out of this fight. If I'm injury free and ready to go in a couple weeks, a month, we'll see who's coming off a win. And there's a lot of things that play out. If Fight Island happens, then we can start looking at other opponents not inside the United States. So right now you're pretty limited. But I think it doesn't really matter who I fight next. It's going to be a big fight. It's going to be exciting. People are going to want to watch. So I don't think it matters too much who I fight next.
Talking of Fight Island, is that something that excites you?
It kind of depends where it's at. If it's somewhere where it's going to be super hot and just not comfortable and I have an option, I don't know. It would be kind of hard to turn it down. Just to do it once. Fight Island is going to be legendary. It's hard to turn down fights in Vegas, though, if they continue to do them here. 4-hour drive, have your own vehicle. They put us in a nice hotel this time, and it's hard to beat.
Well, your stock and your confidence is growing all the time. We love the confidence. It's infectious. What message do you want to give to your fans that will be tuning in to watch you?
Yeah, just tune in. That's it. That's all you got to do is tune in, and it's going to be exciting.
We look forward to it. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
And we'll take our next questions from Agnian Georgiev with Max Sports Bulgaria.
Hello, Sean. In 2017, you made 4 fights, 2 of them in UFC, and in the next 2.5 years, you fought just twice. How tough was for a young talent like you just to train and not being able to fight because of the surgery and suspensions, and how you motivate yourself during that time to stay focused in trainings?
Kind of hard to hear the question. Could you repeat? I got most of it, just like the end of it.
Okay, I was asking, in the last 2.5 years, you've got just 2 fights. For a young talent like you, was it tough just to train without fights because of the problems with the surgery and the suspensions, and how you motivate yourself to do only the trainings?
It wasn't hard to continue to train for a while there. Right after, the news that I wasn't able to fight, it was definitely a little depressing, and it wasn't like I was getting up in the morning excited to go to the gym. I did stay pretty consistent shortly after, but, a couple weeks after I was, back to, okay, I'm going to fight again. I know that 100% I'm going to eventually fight again, and I don't want it to get there and me look back and wish I had trained and taken advantage of all this time to get better. And that was my mindset for probably 95% of the whole 2 years. And I did have 2 surgeries within those 2 years, and I think those 2 surgeries helped me become the athlete that I was, the full potential of the athlete I could become. I think that's a huge part of why I'm so successful is how athletic I am. And I had some injuries that wasn't allowing me to be that athlete. And then I really upped my jiu-jitsu, my diet, my discipline, and everything within those 2 years. So I really look back and think of that as a positive experience rather than a negative experience.
One last for me. What was your New Year resolution? You started very impressively in 2020, but what are your plans for this year?
Yeah, I'd like to, get out of this fight just like last fight, healthy and fight in a couple months, couple weeks. It depends how healthy I get out of this fight. I'm in such good shape right now. If I can go in there and get an earlier first round knockout and have no injuries, I don't see why I can't fight in a couple months. So maybe fight 2 more times this year would be ideal.
Thank you, Sean. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll take our next questions from Roman Modrowski with ESPN.
Hi, Sean. Hey, I want to get your thoughts on how you see the Sandhagen Sterling fight unfolding, and I want to see what your prediction for that one is.
Yeah, when it's that high level of MMA, it's hard to predict. Both those guys are such high level bantamweights that it really could go either way. In the smaller cage, I think that gives Aljo a little bit of it benefits him a little more. But I think Cory's footwork is going to it's so hard to say, but I do see Cory winning. I think he's just a little bit better on the feet. He's gonna be able to move around and hit, not get hit. We have similar styles in that sense, so I think he'll be able to get the job done. But I wouldn't be surprised if Aljo gets it done.
Okay, thank you.
And we will take our next question from Alistair Bishop with MMA Republic.
Sugar Sean, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic, man. I just wanted to ask you, we've recently just seen a picture emerge of you in phenomenal physical shape. And the question that came straight to mind is, you're obviously a taller guy, way taller than the average bantamweight. Do you see a future at bantamweight, like a long future, or would you eventually consider featherweight as you get a bit bigger in size?
My mindset right now is I want to become champ and I want to defend the belt and I want to be the best bantamweight ever before I move up to featherweight. But it's hard to say, the next 5 years I could put on too much weight just naturally and have to make that move up. I want to make an intelligent decision. I don't want to get stuck in the mindset of I have to be the best bantamweight ever, because if I have to go up to featherweight, I have to. But right now I want to get that belt and defend it.
And seeing that sort of shape that you're in, what is your weight cut been like?
Yeah, the weight cuts. I think I'm just like a pound heavier this camp than I was last weight cut, which was 3 months ago, and that weight cut went perfect. So I'm right on track, and it should come off pretty easy.
And is there anything specific that you change quite drastically in a fight week as opposed to your normal life?
No, this camp went just like last camp. I didn't spar as much, but with not sparring as much, I'm coming into this last fight. I think I said I was like 95% healthy. A couple little stingers from sparring. I don't have anything. I'm pretty much 100% going into this fight. So I didn't spar as much, but I'm more healthy. And I'll take that any day.
And the last one from me, Sean, we heard Chase Cooper before you mention time on the Contender Series. Do you think that mentally gives you a slight little advantage as to know what to expect in the Apex, having gone through the Contender Series?
I don't know. It might affect some people. I don't see it. We're all fighters. He's a vet. I feel like a vet. I've had over 30 fights since I was 16 years old. I've fought in cages. I've fought in rings. I've fought in all different. I don't think it matters. We're both gonna show up and fight, and I don't think the size of the cage is gonna really play a difference too much.
Fantastic, thank you, and all the best. A lot of South Africa will be tuning to watch you fight, and good luck, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And we will take our last set of questions from Rodney Edgar with Cageside Press.
Hey, what's up? I know we're running out of time here, so I'll just keep it brief. So you talked about lack of sparring, man. Tell me a little bit more about that. Is this something that's new to your training camps? And if so, why take that approach?
I wouldn't consider it a lack of sparring. I don't know. I don't know I guess what's the definition of the lack? It sounds like almost like a negative thing. It wasn't. Like I said, I'd rather spar a little bit less and be more healthy than spar. It's a mental thing for a lot of people, sparring. Like, did I spar? Did I go hard? I just had a full training camp 3 months ago and literally didn't get out of shape. I sparred. It's not like I didn't spar at all. I definitely sparred every Saturday leading up to it. I just wasn't sparring on Wednesday. I was sparring once a week. And it was actually really nice, really beneficial, because you spar Wednesday and Saturday, you get injured a little bit Wednesday, it affects your Thursday, Friday, and then you're sparring Saturday with a little injury, and that affects the next week. So I was able to have a really, really healthy camp, this fight camp, which is pretty rare if you talk to most fighters. And I didn't feel the need to get hit in the head more. I think I probably will continue to do my camps like that.
I talked to you before the last fight there at the Apex, and we both agreed that, hey, this was a tall order because you had the layoff. But then when you got in there, you had an amazing performance. I know every time that you win, it kind of just gives you a buzz, gives you a pep in your step, and that compounds with each win. So how does your confidence feel compared to how it did? I mean, I know you're a super confident guy, you always have been, but obviously it's got to be through the roof at this point, no?
Yeah, it's the confidence, just like I've said before, it comes from the hard work that I'm putting in. the disciplined lifestyle that I'm living. It's not just my training, it's my sleep, my recovery, my diet, my mindset. It's all those things that add up, plus the training I'm doing, that really gives me that confidence, that true self-belief that I have in myself. And I've been knocking people out since I was 16 years old, and I've lost like 2 amateur fights. And when I lost those fights, it wasn't because I didn't show up. It was because I didn't have the skill level that I needed to beat those guys. I think I got submitted twice early on as an amateur. So I'm just, the confidence just comes from, all the fights I've had, all the fight camps I've had, all the lessons I've learned, and I'm really excited to go out there.
So the MMA lab is relatively close. I mean, obviously the situation that's going on in the world totally sucks with the civil unrest and COVID on top of that. But for those of us who are on the West Coast, in a way, who either fight or who cover the sport, we kind of lucked out in a sense that we're so close to the hub. So what was the transition like from, did you guys fly out here? Did you drive? When did you get here, et cetera?
Yeah, my training camp, the lab did close down for a little bit, but Tim has his gym, who's my head coach. So we just had practice at his place. We invited a couple people, and it was super, it was actually really nice. It was a good camp. And then the lab had, smaller classes eventually towards the end of camp, so we were able to go there. We drove in on Monday morning and got set up. So we usually come Sunday, Monday before fight week, just a day or two early, get situated, and it's been good. Fight week's been good. Everything pretty much went perfect.
One more real quick before you get out of here. So, I have to ask all Contender Series alum, you're one of the OG Contender Series guys because you fought in that sweat box over there at the Ultimate Fighter gym. Are you a little bit jealous when you see what these guys are getting nowadays, or do you go, you know what, I'm an OG, so it kind of gives me a little chip on my shoulder?
Yeah, I mean, unless I get asked about it, like now, I literally don't think about it. It doesn't come up too much, but I guess it was pretty cool to be able to fight in a different place than they have them now. It was pretty OG. I think looking back at when I'm all done, when it's all said and done, it'll be, I'll be a legend of the Contender Series.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Sean. That is all the time we had for you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
And next up, we will be joined by UFC bantamweight Eddie Wineland.
You can look into this camera.
We now welcome UFC bantamweight Eddie Wineland.
I know I'm going to be doing this.
Thanks for the time today, Eddie.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, guys.
We will be taking the first question from Jay Anderson with Cage Side Press. Jay, please go ahead.
Hey, thanks very much. And welcome back, Eddie. I mean, at 35, WEC champ, fought for the UFC title, coming back here against a young up-and-comer. What keeps you motivated at this stage in the game?
I'm still in great shape. I mean, I've always said that I'm going to continue fighting until I feel my body just doesn't put up with it anymore. And through the years, linking up with the gym that I'm with now and with my strength and conditioning coach about 10 years ago, kind of started adapting to work smarter, not harder, and taking rest days when needed, and just kind of training better and training at 100% 3 days a week versus 60 at 6 days has allowed me to be at 35. I'm in better shape than I was at 25.
We kind of see the story again and again in combat sports, the up-and-comer versus the veteran. Do you enjoy having the opportunity to derail a hype train here?
I mean, it's a big opportunity for me. It's a big opportunity for him also. You know, he's fighting a veteran. I'm fighting a guy who he's got a huge name. Although he's been in the UFC not that long, he's got a very big name, a very big following. You know, so I mean, as far as derailing, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they set us up to fight. So I mean, if it derails them, it derails them. I'm sorry, but I'm here to win. I'm not here to be looked over.
And I mean, there's a lot going on in the world right now. Obviously, it goes without saying. And it's kind of been snowballing even over the past week. How much of a distraction is that for you when you're trying to focus and prepare for a fight?
Nothing. I mean, the whole COVID thing, these riots, everything that's going on. I mean, the COVID doesn't scare me. I've been working in the midst of it as a firefighter since it started. It doesn't scare me. It's my mind's set on a fight, and it's a one-track mind there. So everything else going on, I mean, it's small potatoes.
The last one for me, how has the pandemic restrictions like social distancing and all that changed camp for you in terms of getting in the work that you need, the training partners that you need, and so on?
So I've got a small like strength and conditioning set up in my basement, and my strength and conditioning coach, he moved half of his gym to his garage. So as far as strength and conditioning, it hasn't suffered at all. I missed a few workouts as far as fight conditioning workouts, but I stayed in kind of a holding pattern until we had something going. And I won't say who or where, but we may or may not have backdoored a few workouts and got the necessary work that we needed.
All right. Well, thanks very much for the time, and best of luck this Saturday.
Awesome. Thank you.
We will take the next question from Alistair Bishop with MMA Republic.
Hey, Eddie, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic, thank you. The most important question is, during this pandemic, how have you managed to keep that stash in such brilliant shape?
With a great mustache comes great responsibility, and that responsibility is to keep it looking good. So a lot of playing with it, a lot of hair drying, and just good genetics, I guess.
Does it require a daily routine?
No, just about 5 minutes of blow drying. That's about it.
Awesome, man. Just want to talk about the fight. Obviously, we know you're going up a guy who's being backed by the UFC in terms of promotion. You know, he's pushing his own needle at the same time. How do you mentally prepare for something like that? Everyone's kind of looking at you and expecting you to lose. They don't really know much of who you are. You know, guys like Sean O'Malley who bring a lot of casual fans in, and they won't really know who you are. How do you respond to that mentally?
I mean, how should I respond to it? I really don't care. You know, I've been doing this for 17 years. I've been doing this since 2003, so before it's a cool thing to do. I started doing this when we were fighting in bars, making up our own rules, you know. So, I don't care, man. I like to fight. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm still here. I'm competitive. I like to fight. So I mean, put somebody in front of me, I'm gonna fight.
Fantastic. And where do you see weaknesses, especially with the younger guy? Do you think it's more of a you know, having that experience is more of your advantage, or do you see some technical advantages?
Technically, I mean, he's very technical. I mean, you look at some of the way he strikes, the way he grapples, and the way he puts things together. You know, like I said, he's young and he's got a few years in the game, but he's put everything together very well, and he's got a very well-rounded game. You know, as far as advantages, I think just the time that I put in on the mat, and the time that I put in with the highest level of opponents that you can in the world, I think that you can't substitute that for anything. So I think that experience that I have is going to play in my factor.
And the last one for me, Eddie, he's obviously sporting a fantastic afro. You're sporting a fantastic stash. Do you feel any pressure to represent your stash community?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's the mustache mafia. You know, we got to take mustache mania and take over.
Thank you. Best of luck, man.
Thank you.
And we will take the next question from Augusto Germaniesge from Somos MMA.
Hey Eddie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I want to ask you, how did you manage to prepare a fight in the middle of a pandemic? How did that affected you?
Seems to be the number one question today, I guess. Yeah, so again, I mean, I've got a basement gym, so again, my strength and conditioning coach moved half of his gym into his garage, so my strength and conditioning work hasn't suffered, and you know, I've got some wrestling mats in my basement, so I have a few people over and just real small circle stuff. You know, and then when the time came, we may or may not have backdoored a few workouts at a location that's undisclosed.
Eddie, you are 10 years older than your rival. Do you think experience will be a determining factor?
I think it's an advantage for me. You know, I've been in there and mixed it up with the best in the world. Uriah Faber, Benavidez, you know, Brad Pickett, Scott Jorgensen, you know, all those guys. I've mixed it up with them. You know, not that Sean couldn't do it. I feel he could go in there and he could mix it up very well with those guys. But I've been there and done that, so I know how to adapt to that. I think that's an advantage in my court.
And do you think you're being underestimated, maybe?
I think by the new fans, I think I am. I think the people who have been following MMA for a long time and know who I am, I think they know that there's a chance. There's a chance there. I think they understand the dangers that I possess and the problems I could possess. But as far as for the average casual MMA fan, I think they're looking far past me.
And the last one for me, which aspects do you consider are going to be the key for winning?
Just keeping pressure. I gotta pressure him. You know, he actually fights well moving backwards, which is again, I'm gonna have to figure out how to pressure him while not letting him fight well moving backwards.
Okay, thank you very much, and the best of luck for Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eddie. That is all the time we had for you, sir. You are good to go.
Thank you.
And next up, we will be joined by UFC Women's Featherweight and Bantamweight Champion Amanda Nunes. And now we welcome the UFC Women's Featherweight and Bantamweight Champion and the #1 ranked women's pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Amanda Nunes. Amanda, thank you for the time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We will be kicking things off with Jim Varsalone from the Miami Herald.
So I hear you and look.
Yeah, you can look here. And you'll hear him through there.
Jim, you are unmuted. You're good to go.
Thank you, Amanda. How are you?
Good.
Good, good. Hey, have you watched any of the recent UFC shows when it returned? And if so, were you able to get a feel what's going on with no crowds and even the smaller cage by watching it on TV?
Yeah, I think it's like pretty cool, you know. It's a different experience. We'll be able to listen the corners. That is gonna be very, very good. But of course, we miss all the fans, you know. But as soon as everything's gonna pass and everything's gonna come back normal.
What has American Top Team meant to you, Amanda?
My gym?
Yes, American Top Team. What has it meant to you?
You know, it's the best gym on the planet. You know, since I stepped in that gym, everything changed in my life. That gym means a lot to me.
How are you looking at this fight? As far as past fights you've had, not looking ahead to the future, just what are you looking for out of yourself for this fight?
You know, what I look for is like, I feel like everything, what I'm going to do, I have to step first in the cage, you know, to see what is my game plan I'm going to put in that. So I feel like 5 rounds, I expect this fight is going to be a better. Felicia is a tough opponent. And yeah, I expect to be very sharp, you know, very smart, and then wait to the best moment to finish this fight.
Was there any difference in training because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19? Did you have to do anything differently?
You know, we just talk about the gym now. Like, the gym make everything easy for us. They leave the doors open for me. You know, we make a very good schedule. We train separate from everybody. Everybody trains separate from everybody. You know, everybody have your time to go to the gym, and they sanitize everything. We clean ourselves very well too, and stay home, gym, home, and I'll be able to do my whole camp, and I'm ready to go.
And what do you think of your opponent? And did you watch the battle she had with Cyborg? And did that do you even do things like that? Watch their prior battles, watch their other fights to try to pick things up?
Yeah, for sure. I have a breakdown on her, especially with that fight against Chris. That was a good view, you know, from her game. And I know she's gonna try to clinch. I know she's gonna try to put me against the cage. But you know, I'm ready. I have like a very good strategy for her, and I'm gonna be ready for everything she's gonna bring Saturday.
And lastly, Amanda, you are the best fighter in the world. You have 2 championship belts. Any chance of going for 3, 4, 5 championship belts?
I wish it, but like this weight, losing weight sucks. You know, I feel like go down to 125. Like for me, I don't think that is gonna happen. You know, I'm like I have so much to lose if I go down, and I prefer to stay here. You know, 135, 145 for me work pretty well.
All right, thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
And we will take our next question from Gustavo Falden with ESPN Brazil.
Oi, Amanda, tudo bom?
Tudo bom, beleza?
Começar primeiro, quão diferente foi esse camp para você, né? Com toda essa situação atípica que estamos tendo aí no mundo, né?
Então, meu camp foi bom. A academia estava aberta para mim, entendeu? Claro, com um schedule bem diferente, né? Treinando separado de todo mundo, treinando com um limite de pessoas muito grande, claro, né? Com todo cuidado. A academia foi todos os dias que eu chegava na academia, a academia estava toda limpinha.
Last one for me.
Para um bom dia de treino. Assim, eu consegui fazer um camp perfeito para essa luta e eu tô pronta. A academia realmente facilitou bastante pra gente.
E você mencionou em entrevista ao Combate.com que você chegou não fez o teste, mas chegou a achar que teve coronavírus, a Nina também ficou mal. Como é que foi essa situação? O quão preocupado que você ficou? Também a Nina por estar grávida? Como é que foi esse momento para você?
Quando eu comecei a me sentir mal, foi logo depois que eu saí daqui de Vegas, né? Eu cheguei em casa e aí que eu tava numa convenção aqui em Vegas, então tinha gente de todo mundo, né? Foi logo quando tava no início do Covid. Então, aí eu saí da convenção aqui em Vegas e fui pra casa. Aí quando eu cheguei em casa, eu comecei a ficar mal mesmo, né? E aí, nunca senti isso na minha vida. Primeira vez que eu fiquei mal de cama por 2, 3 dias, assim, mais ou menos. E quando eu comecei a melhorar, Nina começou a ficar mal também. Só que eu me recuperei em casa, fiquei em casa mesmo, quarentena total. E Nina, a gente foi para emergência, rápido, entendeu? Por causa da criança. Mas também, né? A saúde é muito importante. Eu tava forte, né? Então, eu preferi ficar em casa, me recuperando. Tive febre, tive tosse, então não estava tão mal assim. Mas com Nina, a gente preferiu ir para emergência. Mas foi tudo tranquilo, né? Foi o que a gente imaginava. A gente ia ficar lá, fazer o teste e tudo. Mas mesmo assim, a gente chegou e não conseguiu fazer o teste, porque estava no início ainda de tudo. Então, estava bem escasso o teste, né? Mas ela fez teste para tudo, para outro tipo de coisa, e nada, deu nada. Então, se talvez tivesse feito o teste para coronavírus, a gente tinha dado positivo, né? Mas deu tudo certo, ela se recuperou rapidinho. Nina é forte pra caramba também, e conseguiu superar.
E como é que foi essa? Geralmente ela te auxilia bastante ali nos treinos, até o quão diferente foi, né? Agora que ela tá no estágio já avançado da gravidez, não poder contar assim com ela ali no, né, de seu sparring. Digamos.
Na verdade, a Nina estava presente em tudo, viu? Não se engane, não. Nina é muito forte, Nina não teve nenhum problema com a gravidez, entendeu? Não passou mal, não teve nada, tranquila. Nos meus sparrings também é o momento que eu mais preciso, assim, dela, porque ela tem que assistir, que ela vai fazer parte disso tudo no dia, né? Então, para ela falar, para ela ver algumas coisas, e aí ela tá presente, também tá correndo, tá fazendo exercício, então, ela não tá fazendo mais sparring nessas coisas, mas a gente continua na caminhada juntas aí. Não mudou em nada, assim, a gravidez.
E
Tudo tranquilo.
a última de minha parte, você pode se tornar a primeira pessoa na história do UFC a defender 2 cinturões em categorias diferentes. O que isso representa para você e para o seu legado?
Eu irei me tornar e continuar fazendo história, né? É o que me move no esporte. Então, quando eu escolhi esse esporte, eu escolhi por amor e faço tudo com muito carinho, muito amor por esse esporte. E eu acho que o próprio esporte está me dando de volta, né? O que eu botei em prol desse esporte. Então, tudo foi muito trabalho, muito esforço e muito amor. E com certeza eu me tornarei a melhor. Eu já sou a melhor, eu provei. Tipo, eu venho provando, né? Já há um tempo na minha carreira. E agora é só consolidar mesmo e continuar fazendo o meu trabalho, né? Lutar e defender o meu título.
Okay, that's it for me, guys.
Valeu.
And we will take our next question from Bruno Carvalho with UOL. Oi, Amanda, tudo bem?
Tudo bom?
Bem também. Amanda, primeiro você estava falando dos seus títulos, né? Eu queria saber se houve, em algum momento, alguma pressão para você abrir mão de um deles, como aconteceu com o DC, aconteceu com o McGregor. Você pensou, alguém pediu para você abrir mão de um dos dois?
Não existe isso. Isso vem do atleta, né? Se você quiser deixar o cinturão, você deixa. Se não, você continua. E eu decidi continuar. Eu decidi defender e fazer algo que ninguém nunca fez na história, né?
Certo. E como é que você faz para, no futuro, depois dessa luta, obviamente, como é que você faz para escolher? Agora eu vou lutar nessa categoria, agora eu vou defender esse cinturão. Como é que é para você? Como é que funciona esse processo?
É difícil a escolha, na verdade, né? Porque você lutou pelos dois, é difícil você deixar um ir, né? Então vamos ver como é que vai ficar essa história aí depois dessa luta. Minha filha está nascendo, então eu também quero esse tempo para poder dar uma atenção mais à Nina, dar uma atenção mais à gravidez dela. E aí a gente vê. Isso aí é questão de tempo, isso aí é mole para resolver depois.
Isso é outra coisa que eu ia te perguntar também. Você tem planos para quando a sua filha nascer ficar um tempo sem lutar?
Provavelmente, mas isso aí também é outra coisa que depende de mim, entendeu? Depende muito do momento que a gente esteja passando quando o Reagan nascer. E aí eu vou decidir, entendeu? Coisas que eu decido assim no momento.
Uhum.
Né? É muito difícil falar agora. Ela não está presente aqui ainda né? De corpo, mas vamos ver aí para frente.
E você teve receio em algum momento de aceitar a luta em meio à pandemia, justamente pela Nina estar grávida e essas coisas?
Também, né? Claro que a gente tem que ter maior cuidado com a Nina. Já é quase a reta final, né? Da gravidez. Então, ficar doente seria coisa muito ruim, né? E aí eu fiquei um pouco assim com o pé atrás, mas quando eu vi o primeiro show, o primeiro UFC, como foi tudo organizado, tudo certinho, né? Aí eu decidi lutar. E também já tinha oponente, né? Já era para lutar em maio também, só que era meu aniversário, também a pandemia e tudo, pessoas morrendo no mundo inteiro. E também a energia estava muito pesada, né? Então eu resolvi dar um passo atrás e deixar o UFC fazer o primeiro show para ver como era que o público ia abraçar. E aí agora eu decidi, vamos nessa.
E minha última pergunta é, não sei se você tem acompanhado os casos de protestos antirracistas que estão tendo tanto nos Estados Unidos quanto no Brasil. Eu queria saber o que você tem achado de tudo isso.
É triste, né? São coisas que a gente precisa dar a mão mesmo e seguir juntos, né? Lutando por isso tudo. E eu acredito que o mundo já vai ser um mundo melhor. Eu acho que se todo mundo dar as mãos para essa causa, né, seguir juntos, eu acho que conseguiremos.
Obrigado, Amanda. Boa sorte no sábado.
Valeu.
It's that for me, guys. Thanks.
And we will take the next question from Cassandra Cousineau with Las Vegas Sports Biz. Cassandra, please go ahead.
Hi there, Amanda. So, as you are expecting to grow your family and become a mother, has your perspective changed at all in terms of your fighting career?
No, actually, motivated me. You know, it's just a baby. You know, just to grow my family and live a different life. You know, experiment. I feel like happiness is the best thing my baby is bringing to me right now.
And you know, you've got a lot of records in the books already, and when you go into the UFC Hall of Fame, which you will go into the UFC Hall of Fame, have you thought of the fact that you could actually be the first mother who's a champion in the UFC? I know Michelle Watterson has talked a lot about mom champ, but you actually were more than likely going to be the first one to do it.
Honestly, like my life in this sport and make history, you know. And Saturday, I'm gonna follow that path, you know, make history. Be a mother is coming with it, but my big things right now is that fight, you know. Be a mother is like, I feel like everybody can be, you know, if you want. I feel like a lot of people have a problem to be a mother, of course, but I feel like it's coming with the life, you know. If you wanna grow your family, you're gonna have a baby, and I feel like the babies is some things help you to grow as a person, you know, grow as a human. You know, you have something else to think about it now, you know, and yeah, I feel like be a mother, be a champion, school, you know, but it's like it's not something that I think about it, you know, really. Just be a champion, I want to be forever, you know, retire as a champion, as a mother champion, as a whatever, the best, you know, like come with everything.
And looking at Saturday's fight, you had mentioned a few weeks back that you thought that you had come in contact with COVID-19. How are you feeling now? And will you be taking the antibodies test in addition to the actual positive test?
No, I didn't. I have a test here with UFC, but I don't know if I really have it before. But I feel 100%, you know. I'm ready to go. If I feel bad, I will take the fight.
And finally, for me, so on Saturday, should you win, you'll become the first fighter in UFC history to make title defenses in 2 divisions while holding multiple belts. So that's something that was kind of you talk a lot about being able to envision your success, and you visualize a lot of the things that are going to happen for you. Is that one of the things that you looked forward to, is actually dominating in multiple divisions?
I will win this fight. I'm not down in my mind. And I will follow my path, make history. Like, no doubt in my mind. This is gonna happen. Be ready for it.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
And we will take our next question from Nuno Kraus with Atarde. Nuno, please go ahead. Oop, sorry, Nuno, you are now unmuted and good to go, sir. Okay, we will move on and take our next question from Shaquille Majori with MMA Mania. Shaquille, please go ahead.
Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thank you for making the time today. First question for me, you kind of hold a spot with fans and with fighters, kind of like John Jones does, this sort of dominant, one-of-a-kind champion. And, you had a very tough last fight, and I think some fighters might look at that fight and say, wow, Amanda's human. There's a chip in the armor. I feel a little bit better now. What did you take out of that tough fight? Because I think a lot of times people come out stronger after performances like that.
Yeah, definitely. That was a huge fight for me, my last fight. That fight, I want to go to 5 rounds as well, And I knew she's tough. I know Germany would be ready that night. And I know I have to use my wrestling, And was exactly what happened. I want to put in my ground game. I want to put a little bit of wrestling into. Everybody know me as a girl is gonna walk in and then try to knock people out. But I also have a wrestling. I have my ground game, my jiu-jitsu, and I want to put it in that fight. I know I'd be able to. So 5 rounds, I was ready for, and I'm a human. Everybody have holes in the game, but it's hard when you're in front of that person, to really see that. And this is, I feel like, is the big things with my opponents. They think they be able to see all my holes, but when they step in front of me, they know everything's different,
You've been asked a lot about your legacy and your motivation. I was just wondering if you could kind of compare and contrast for me. What was it like? What was your motivation like and your mindset like when you were a contender working your way up the division and now being this monster 2-division champion? Is it the same? Is it different? What's that been like?
I feel the same. Hungry, motivated, and I want to keep doing this. Keep making history. This is driving me forward, and I love just do this. I love wake up and then go to the gym every day training, and I love this. I love MMA. I do this because I love it. I wake up motivated every day.
Amanda, thank you so much. Best of luck this Saturday.
Thank you so much, Amanda. That is all the time we have for you. You are good to go.
Awesome. Thank you.
And next up, we will be joined by UFC welterweight Anthony Rocco Martin. As a reminder, please select the hand icon in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen if you wish to ask a question. If you do not wish to ask a question, please select it again to be removed from the queue. All right. Welcome, Anthony Rocco Martin, UFC welterweight. Thank you for the time today, sir.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
We will take the first question from Danny Segura with MMA Junkie.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so because of the pandemic, a lot of fighters lost high-profile fights But in your case, it was almost the reverse. You went from fighting David Zawada to Neil Magny, who's very well known at 170. You think things almost worked out in your favor, and was this almost best case scenario for you?
Yeah, I think it definitely is a big step up in opponent, but it's a fight that I think I deserved. I think that I've earned, and it's exactly what I wanted. You know, it's a fight I've wanted for a while now, and I'm happy for the challenge. And no disrespect to David, I just don't think that he earned the fight versus me yet. And this is a big opportunity for me.
Yeah. And as far as the division, there's a lot of things going on at 170. I mean, Neil Magny's a pretty big name. And, you know, prior to the Damian Maia loss, you were on a nice win streak. So you could potentially be, if you beat Magny 6-1 in your last 7 bouts. Do you think that a win there could be enough to put you in the rankings?
Yeah, I think it should be. I think that there's a few people in the rankings that I don't even know why they're in the rankings with Pettis, Connor, and Diaz. None of them are beating 70-pounders right now, so I don't know why they're in the rankings. So I think that I could easily be at like 15, and Neil's at 13 right now. So I think that a win over Neil, I should definitely be inside the top 15 and really making a push here.
Yeah. And as far as the matchup itself, where do you see your strengths lie in this bout with Magny?
Honestly, I feel like I'm just a more well-rounded fighter than him. I think I'm a little bit better everywhere. I think that he might have the reach on me and size, and but cardio-wise, I mean, in a 3-round fight, it's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna play a factor at all. So I don't see where he has any advantage. So I think it's a great matchup for me. But I'm excited for it as well. I think that Neil's a very tough opponent, and he's beaten multiple world champions. Beat Calvin Gastelum. So I mean, this is a big fight.
Yeah, for sure. And the cage this time is going to be a lot smaller than the regular cage. And you mentioned there Neil Magny's sort of size and range, and that's something, you know, that's very well known about his style, his distance and the range. How much do you think the smaller cage will affect and play a role in this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I fight at a range as well, so I'm not like an inside fighter. So I feel very confident fighting outside all the time, but. They always say, you know, I think my grappling's a lot better than his. So smaller cage usually plays a factor, gives a little bit of advantage to the grappler. And I imagine I'm going to have to get inside and stay inside on him a little bit more often with my striking. So I think it plays an advantage where he can't run around and stay away as well as he's used to.
All right, Anthony. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And we will take our next question from Jay Anderson with Cage Side Press.
Hey, thanks very much. And, you know, you've called this fight your biggest opportunity coming into it. And with that in mind, have you kind of put any extra pressure on yourself to go out there and put on a performance, make a statement?
Well, I mean, it's also my last fight of my contract, so everything is on the line for this fight. So it's, but every fight I put so much pressure on myself to win and to perform at the best of my ability. So I think that I wouldn't say added pressure. It's more of like just an added motivation, like where, you know, sometimes if you have any self-doubt ever, that it's easy to flip it with just knowing that, you know, it's a lot easier just to go into the fight knowing that I've done everything right leading up to it. You know, I've been in training camp for about 14, 15 weeks. I had like 5 or 6 different fight dates. You know, opponent changes. I don't know where you're fighting or how you're fighting. Don't know. So everything's kind of different for this fight, but I'm a fighter. I'm gonna get out there and fight anyone, and I think it's a great opportunity.
You mentioned this being the last fight on your deal. Were there talks about renewing prior to this? Did you choose to kind of roll the dice here and go that route?
Yeah, no, I haven't had any talks prior to this about re-signing. I don't know if the pandemic's playing into it a little bit or what exactly is happening, but this was my opportunity to show the UFC and show the world that this is the opportunity that for me to win this fight and break into the top 15 and kind of be in control of my own destiny. You know, I'm in control right now. So I win this, and I'm inside the rankings. It definitely helps, you know, with going to the negotiation tables and be able to negotiate a good quality contract.
And last one for me. I mean, you mentioned the pandemic. A lot of fighters have had to make some adjustments, be it training at home gyms, that sort of thing, limited sparring partners. How have things worked out for you in this situation?
It's been phenomenal with me, you know, outside of being on a lift because the workout room closed down, but I've been training every day with Douglas Lima, Will Brooks, Jakau, those, like we had another 3 or 4 guys at the ATT Atlanta, and we were just every day we would come in, we would spar, we would do everything. So nothing's changed for me. I almost could be like it was a positive in my growth in martial arts, where you have all those top guys. Obviously, Douglas being top 3 welterweights in the world. Every day, 4 or 5 rounds we're training together. So I think it was a great experience, and I'm excited to get in there on Saturday.
All right, well, thanks very much. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you, buddy.
And we'll take our next set of questions from Agnian Georgiev with Max Sports Bulgaria.
Hello, Anthony.
Hello, how's it going?
You had a very close fight with Damian Maia a year ago. What was the most important stuff that you learned from that fight, and does it open your eyes for something that you need to improve in order to become the top guy in the division?
Yeah, I think obviously in that Damian fight, I was kind of a mental mess going into that fight, leading in there with a lot of outside drama going on, a lot of outside negativity that was in my life at that moment. So it's kind of just cleaning all that up and getting my support system stronger and building these positive energy. Is kind of more. I think it was more of a mental thing going into that fight than a physical thing. So I think that going into this fight. Obviously, I'm coming off that win in Russia, so it's more just, being me, being happy. We came out here a week early to Vegas to just get quality bonding with the team and going to this fight on Saturday with full board.
One last from me. You are one of the guys who probably sparred a lot with Kobe Covington at ATT. Was it the best move for everyone in the team? That he leaves ATT after the arguing with Dustin Poirier, with Masvidal, and some other of the fighters. And is Kobe such a bad guy, as pretty much everyone in the team describes him?
Well, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia now, so I haven't been down there for about 9 months. But when I trained there, we trained, and I didn't have any drama with them. But obviously, there's a lot of drama with him and all the guys at the gym there. But that's kind of more of their business now.
Okay, thank you and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Anthony. Those are all the questions we had for you, sir. You are good to go.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, we will be joined by UFC bantamweight Raphael Assuncao.
Yeah, they can see me. I just missed it.
We now welcome the number 5 ranked UFC bantamweight contender in the world, Raphael Assuncao. Raphael, thank you for the time, sir.
Stand up. Sit up and look here. Yeah. How you doing? How are you?
We will take the first question from Caroline Pierce with BT Sport.
Hi, Raphael. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Look, coming off a couple of losses yourself, same for Cody. This is a kind of a really important fight for many reasons, to get back on track and also to shape the landscape of the bantamweight division. Are you feeling any extra pressure or even motivation going into this one?
Yeah, a little bit of both. It's okay. It's all part of the job, and
I have always felt that way. So I don't really feel any different in any other fights, to be honest with you.
I'm sure you know, despite the losses, what Cody can do. He's got that power, he's got that footwork, etc. But he can also be quite an emotional fighter, as we've seen. You don't seem, and you're not the type of fighter that really plays into that, or brings about any trash talk or anything like that. But is it something you can utilize in any way? And are you expecting any emotion from him?
Yeah, I'm expecting the best guy. That's all I have in mind right now. I'm not really expecting specific pointers or whatever he's going to bring to the table. I'm expecting the best guy possible on Saturday night, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't really change too much. Whatever he brings to the table, I'll be ready. As you mentioned, and a lot of everybody's mentioned, he's emotional, whatever. I don't really care. Whatever emotions he brings, whatever physicality he brings, I'm gonna be right there. I mean, it doesn't really change much for me.
And you're probably aware that he's been over the East Coast training with Mark Henry as well as Ricardo Almeida, and the guys that could really help with the ground game, the grappling, that side of things. Is that playing into potentially the game plan for you, expecting either that it could take place more on the ground or that you might take it there yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna be. Well, it's not, but to answer the detail there, but I'm training. I train every area, so I'm not going with just a plan A. I'm going into this fight very well trained in all areas. So I don't really care where he's training, what his changes were, what his changes are. Doesn't really make a difference for me.
I know the goal for you is still to be the bantamweight champion, and with Henry Cejudo vacating the title, and we obviously have that vacant title up for grabs now with Petr Yan and Jose Aldo. How far off do you think you are from that opportunity yourself? Obviously, this is the co-main event. There's other obviously strong bantamweights on the card as well. What do you feel you've got to do to make sure you're there or thereabouts when it comes to who faces the winner of that vacant title bout?
Yeah, I gotta have a good performance like every fight. It's not just because this is a co-main event against Cody Garbrandt, but every fight I gotta make sure that I bring the best Raphael Assuncao that night, and that's what I'm gonna try to do. And, no extra pressure though, as there's all the bantamweights there with the vacant title. Once it comes fight time, yeah, I shut everything off, and it's just game time. Win everything I can to win.
And last question from me. I know you've seen a lot in your long career, but this time obviously it's going to be an empty arena, and the fight week, Las Vegas itself, has a very different feel about it. Is that a good thing for you? Taking away potentially any pressure, or are you going to miss the crowd and miss the bigger cage?
Yeah, it's not a the good thing for me, or it's a bad thing for me. It's just what it is now. I mean, times is crazy right now. Amidst everything that's going on, it's okay. I fought. My first professional event was a very small crowd. It was a private event. It was my first professional event. I was very proud of 75 people, 100 people. I still have a lot of remembrance of that event. So it's like I said, it's not good, it's not bad. It is what it is right now, and I'm gonna try to cancel all that. If this crowd or not, and just do me on Saturday night.
So back to how it was in the beginning. Well, best of luck with that, Raphael. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.
And we will take our next question from Jim Varsalone with Miami Herald.
Miami Herald.
Hey, thank you so much. Yes, in South Florida. I was going to ask you, how are you, your family, friends, where you are now, and also in Brazil? How's everyone doing during all the pandemic and everything?
Yeah, and as I mentioned, it's crazy times right now. I cannot miss the opportunity to speak just because it's in everyone's. It's current now, and it's crazy time right now. The family is good. My mom lives in Recife, currently there, which it's been hit pretty hard in Recife right now. So she's being very cautious. She's taking all her measures, obviously, of social distancing and you know, amidst the pandemic there in Brazil, in Recife. And back home where I live in Atlanta, we're doing the same thing. We're taking precautions. We're doing everything we can. Even reopening the gym up there at Ascension, as well. My gym at ATT is also reopening. We're taking all the measurements to make sure everyone's safe, and we're gonna get through this.
You are a very focused fighter. You've been fighting. You have many fights. You're very experienced. And it's interesting because this card has many bantamweights on the card. Do you think this is a good time to not only you're showcasing yourself, obviously, but showcasing the bantamweight division? Yeah,
it's great card, great bantamweight card, and yeah, it's always for me. You know, I try to neutralize all the factors, right? So the extras comes along, and what I try to do is the way the type of guy I am, I try to neutralize everything, and it's me there, right? So I don't extra pressure on me, or I have to do this or that, you know, because I'm gonna do my best out there, and I'm gonna come victorious, you know, at the end of the night. That's all I have in mind right now.
Being mentally focused, it's interesting because, am I right, in your last fight was in August, so almost a year. Is that correct? So in doing that, just having so many fights under your belt, does that help you as far as mentally preparing for something like that? Because you haven't fought in so long.
Yeah. I have taken times off of injuries, unfortunate injuries, and different factors. So almost a year, yeah, right up to 10 months. It's okay, you know. I'll still bring the experience from the previous, even though it was a negative. I'll still bring that experience along and try to improve upon that loss. You know, I think I did make some changes as well, and that helped me. That loss also gave me a new path to take in training and stuff. And so yeah, it's okay. The time off was okay, you know, to improve and keep improving. Being a student of the arts game, so it's okay. 10 months, it's okay.
And then lastly for me, how much of a fighter, mentally and physically, are you different from when you were first starting to where you are now? Or are you different from when you first started to where you are now?
From when I first started, you know, I'm 37 years old, and I feel no different. You know, everything's just so the same, so equal for me. You know, the weight cut is the same. My cardio, my routines, my workout, everything just feels the same. You know, even better now. I'm wiser. You know, as a human being, just a wiser guy. It just feels so natural. You know, right now. You know, but let's say with the pandemic, you know, it wasn't, you know, as easy as because for everyone, right? You know, we had to take days off. The gyms were still reopening. Training partners were being cautious, so we had to reunite and get the team together. I was very fortunate myself that I had a good team in Atlanta with me. We kept training pretty good, you know. But yeah, so some of the trainers were I could not see some of them still, but okay.
Thank you. All the best on Saturday.
Thanks, buddy.
And we will take our next question from Gabriel Pangalangan with the Dojo Drifter.
Raphael, hello from the Philippines. So tell us more about your training camp. Some people have said that the pandemic actually didn't change it that much. Some people, of course, felt a big impact from the pandemic. How was it for you?
Yeah, we felt the impact for sure. It's I'm gonna say it again. It's different times. It's different times, crazy times for everyone. And we did feel the impact. Within the community, family, in the martial arts community, in the martial arts world, in our gyms world. Um, our gym, Ascension, even ATT was shut down. Um, yeah, we felt a little bit of impact, and we try to maintain to the best of our ability. Like, we worked out fine, worked out okay. Things started to come back right in timely manner, so it worked out okay.
All right, and then looking at your opponent, Cody's, looking at his game, where do you think you have the most advantage in this fight?
Yeah, I mean the advantage. I'm a more experienced, more seasoned guy. I think I have the advantage anywhere, despite him having some heavy hands or whatever. My mentality is I have the advantage every second of the fight.
Okay, and then also the targeted title fight between Peter Yan and Jose Aldo, it actually hasn't been officially announced. Do you think that an impressive win here for you could catapult you into that title shot instead of Aldo?
Sure it could. Yeah, I think a win in general will put me right there in contention. I've been around a long time. You can criticize, because there's critics out there, they can say whatever they want. I've been around a long time. I've been doing my job correctly for a long time, despite some negative results. And I'm looking to get to the top contention, after this win.
Yes, and you've been top ranked for a long time. Like you said, you're 37 years old, but you've never had a title shot. Do you think that this is finally your time?
Never had a title shot. Well, we had two opportunities, and we got injured. Could not sign the bar agreement in two different occasions, which was my two of my worst injuries. So bad timing for me as well.
Okay, so but you believe that this is the opportunity that you will get that title shot soon?
Yes, sir.
All right, best of luck with that, sir. Thank you very much.
And we will take our next question from Yago Hedua with Revista Tatami.
Tatami.
Yago, you are unmuted. Please go ahead.
Tudo bem? Aqui é o Iago da Tatami.
We can hear you, Yago. Please go ahead.
Rafael,
Opa!
Oi, tudo bem, Rafael? Tá me ouvindo bem?
Tô sim.
Opa, você vem de uma sequência, né, negativa de 2 derrotas. Como é que você acha que isso impacta na sua luta? Também o Cody também vem de uma sequência negativa, né? Você acha que os dois
Okay, I think we're having some connection issues with Yago. We're going to circle around with him. We'll take our next and last question with Mark Raimondi from ESPN. Mark, you're unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hey, Javier, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Real quick, you fought both Aljamain Sterling and Cory Sandhagen, and they're in a big bantamweight fight. Obviously, your division, something that means something to you as well for this fight. How do you see that one going? Do you have a prediction for that one?
That's a good fight. I mean, both as of right now, they're you can tell, you can say they're both experienced guys in the division now. Yeah, I see a pretty good fight. I don't have a prediction, but I see a pretty good fight. You know, both of them are on the taller scale of the bantamweight division. Good fight. Good fight. I'll be sneak peeking from backstage for sure.
They both have kind of different styles compared to one another. Do you see any one of those styles having an edge over the other in this fight?
Yeah, I don't see an edge right off the bat like that. It's just different, right? Aljamain kicks a little bit more, and Sandhagen's longer. You know, utilizes his hands a little bit longer. Yeah, I see a pretty nice stylistic, you know, matchup there. Good fight. Good fight.
Thanks, Raphael. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Raphael. That is all the time we had for you, sir. You are good to go.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, man.
And next up, we will be joined by UFC bantamweight Cory Sandhagen.
Yeah. So good with names. Cory, you're gonna look here. Okay. Yeah, perfect.
We're now joined by the number 4 ranked UFC bantamweight contender in the world, Cory Sandhagen. Cory, thank you for the time, sir.
Yeah, man, no problem.
We will take our first question from Caroline Pierce with BT Sport.
Okay.
Hey, Cory, I just wanted to ask you, how's this fight week experience been for you in Las Vegas? I know you seem a quieter man that doesn't like too much media and crowds, so how's it suiting you?
Yeah, I like it. It feels like we're just here to fight. You know, it feels a little bit more old school. It feels like there's a lot less smoke and mirrors. And yeah, that's cool. You know, there's a lot less distractions. It's a little bit boring, but my buddy brought an Xbox, so I've been trying to learn how to play Call of Duty, even though I still suck at it. But it's been okay. You know, it's been fun.
And have you been told that this fight is the number 1 contender fight, so the winner of this will get the next shot at the title? Has anyone actually said that to you, despite the fact on paper it looks like it will be that way?
My agent did tell me that was relayed to him by the UFC. Makes no sense to me. So it feels like, yeah, the title is just like right within my grasp. I just kind of got to reach my hand out and grab it. Should I be looking here or here? Okay.
And with Aljamain Sterling, you've talked before about, you know, raising your name and, you know, fights that will do that for you, despite obviously putting you in line for a title. Does a win over Aljamain Sterling get your name out there a little bit more as well, do you think? Because obviously you're on this impressive 7-fight win streak. And, you know, we know when it comes to these things, it's not just about the performances, but sometimes it comes down to who kind of sings and dances as well.
Yeah, I think Aljamain brings a good name value. It's maybe not like the co-main event is Assuncao Garbrandt. So obviously our names aren't as big as someone as those guys, which is okay with me. I know that stuff takes time, but yeah, I think with Aljamain, it definitely brings some name value. I think I'll get my name out there a little bit more, but more than anything, I think that there being 3 fights that are bantamweight fights on the main card is going to be able to allow me to display my skills very comparatively to the fights before and the fight after me. So that's what I'm excited about too, is that I get to show like, oh wow, that kid's different than the other bantamweight fights that I saw.
And does it bother you, despite being higher ranked, that your fight's not the co-main event?
It bothered me for like 5 minutes, but I really don't care. I'm just excited to fight.
And what are you looking to showcase in this fight? What kind of finish or performance will be the one that will satisfy you the most?
I just want to showcase my style. Like I think that I mean I give a lot of thoughtfulness, and I know that I say this a lot, but I give a lot of thoughtfulness, and I give a lot of love to my style. You know, like I'm not just taking orders by my coaches. You know, like this is a lot of my heart in the fighting that I do. So that's what I want to show the people. You know, and I think that if enough people see that, they'll get on board with it, because it is really exciting. It's a fun style to watch, and like I said, it's kind of like my baby. You know, my style is my baby, and I think I've done a really good job with it, and I want people to appreciate it. This thing is annoying.
And with how well Team Elevation's been doing with Blaze and Dash and Gaethje, you know, is there added motivation within camp, within that team, and you know, you feel like you're not just fighting for yourself, but for the team as well, getting that recognition more recently?
Sorry. Yeah, I think it's easier to be confident in yourself when you see your really good friends that are doing the same things as you, pretty much, having a lot of success also. So I don't really know what we're doing at Elevation specifically. That's different than other gyms. I've been on this team since I first started training, so I don't really know what we're doing that's differently. But I will say that we all care about a lot. We all care about each other a lot, and yeah, I mean, it gives me a lot of confidence that everyone's just crushing it right now.
Absolutely. And lastly from me, just talk to me about the star matchup between yourself and Aljamain.
Okay, yeah. So me and Aljamain kind of bring in a lot of similar advantages, right? Like we both like to move our feet. We both like to stay rangy. We both like to have a really high pace in fighting. And I think that that's going to be what's going to be really interesting to watch. You know, it's always fun to go against someone and be like, oh, it's two wrestlers going against each other. Let's see who's the better wrestler. Two strikers are going against each other. Let's see who's the better striker. Those matchups are always fun. And I think in the division, me and Aljamain are probably the most similar, I would say. We have a little bit of differences, but I think that that's what I'm really excited to find out about myself too. Is am I as good as I think I am at these things? You know, and that excites me to be like, okay, he's good at the same things as me, but I think I'm better, and I want to go be better than him at it.
Oh, I lost you for a moment there. Well, thank you for talking to me, and best of luck with your fight.
Yep, thanks a lot.
We'll take our next set of questions from Georgi Kokiashvili with Adyara Sport.
Cory, hello, how are you? How you feel?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Thank you. I want to ask you about grappling. We all know that Aljo is so good at grappling. And how much time did you spend with takedown defense? And are you ready to be in the ground for a long time in this fight? Because Aljo is a very high level of grappling.
Am I ready to be on the ground for a lot of this fight?
Are you ready to spend more time on ground with Aljo?
I of course I feel like I am ready for that. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of time on there, but yeah, I mean, obviously I'm ready for that. Since August, all I've been focusing on is, hey, these are the guys that I'm probably going to fight, and these are their strengths, and all of them are good wrestlers. You know, like you have to know what you're doing. Fighting isn't just grappling, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and striking anymore. Like fighting is fighting, and that's what it is. So I don't see fights as categorized as that. To me, it's one big blend of all of them. But as far as fighting goes and the blending and mixing of all of them, yes, I feel very good in my skills in doing so against Aljamain.
Thank you. My second question is, we all know that Henry Cejudo left this bantamweight division, and you consider this fight as a semi-final to move on the final fight as a title shot?
Yeah, I mean, this definitely seems like if I win this, then I'm fighting the winner of Jan and Aldo, hopefully in the fall time. That's in my head what's playing out. Will that happen? I think it depends how well I do, right? Like I go out, I perform, I put on, and I show what I can do, and I show that I'm deserving of that, and that I earned something like that, and I think that I can definitely do that, and I think that if I do that, then yeah, I'm definitely getting a title shot afterwards.
Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, man.
And we'll take our last set of questions from Jim Barcelone with the Miami Herald.
Thank you so much. I'm wondering, your last fight was, I believe, in August, and then things happened after that. You were supposed to fight again, and whatever happened, happened. But just with that time off, is there any differences? We had all this COVID-19, but were there any differences mentally and or physically just going through training, getting ready for one, now getting ready for this, and just going through that whole process?
Yeah, I mean, every time I want to fight, you think that it's time to take your foot off the gas. That's not what this is, man. It's like every fight you win, it's like, all right, well, it's going to be better, so I need to be getting that much better every single time. So that's where I always keep my mind. I don't really toy with too many ideas of not being the best that I can be. Like every single morning I wake up, it's all right, Cory, it's time to be the best that you can be today, and that means working on whatever I need to work on, and I put a lot of focus on that every single day, and that's what I go and do every single day, and yeah, it's paid off big time. Like I think, especially since August, I've had a lot of time to kind of work on a lot of things, because when you're in camp, you don't get to work on a ton of stuff, more sharpening tools, and you're kind of adding a couple specific things that cater towards your opponent. But for me, during this kind of off time, I've really been able to use it as this time for me being able to really improve just myself. And I've really enjoyed that aspect of kind of this little unasked for waiting that I've had to go through.
Obviously, without giving game plan away or anything like that, and discussing what you just discussed, how confident are you at trying different things at this stage of the game right now for this fight?
I don't care about trying anything other than that isn't going to make me win. So what I think is going to make me win, I have down to a T right now. I mean, this talk to Aljamain has been in the works for like a really long time now. He's been on my mind for a really long time now, and solving that puzzle has been on my mind for a really long time now. So, I mean, I'm ready to go. I'm not going to try anything that I think is going to impress anyone. I don't think that I have the style that needs to do that. I think that just by itself, it's exciting on its own. So I don't feel like I need to do that. I'm not going to go out and try to do anything other than win and win as impressively as I can.
And then lastly, from me, and I hope I have this information right too, you're working part-time or had worked part-time at a trauma center for children?
Yeah, so Mount St. Vincent's is where, I mean, when you're a fighter, you got to be broke for a little bit, right? So Mount St. Vincent's was the facility that I still technically do work. I haven't been working through this whole coronavirus thing, but I do still work there, and I have been working there since I've been in the UFC. Instead of now, I'm not working overnights and 30 hours a week there, 40 hours a week there. Now I'm kind of just working there because it gives me this sense of doing something outside of fighting and doing something that does bring a little bit more meaning to my everyday life. So I'm only there about once a week right now, but that place is really special in my heart. They allowed me to be able to make my own schedule as I was coming up through my MMA career, which is really hard to do when you're a broke fighter, you know, and you're fighting for $2,000 and you're only fighting 3 times a year. That's really hard. So they really facilitated that for me, and I keep them really close to my heart. And although I haven't been there in probably 2 months or since all of this coronavirus stuff started, I mean, I'm definitely going to go back to work, if not next week, probably the week afterwards.
And that follow-up with that, just what is it like? Do the staff and the kids, they know that you're a fighter and how cool that is that you're also part of that, or do you sort of keep it separate?
Yeah, I try to keep it separate. All of the staff is they support me, and they like to talk about it, so they enjoy it, I think that it's fun for them as well. As far as the kids, so the kids are there because they had a history of trauma, which means that a lot of the cases have some form of trauma or some type of abuse in the past. So for me, I try to keep it on wraps that I'm a fighter, especially in the UFC. I mean, when I tell them that I'm a fighter, the few of the older ones that I think can kind of handle it and they can handle it, they think that I'm doing WWE. Like they think that I'm going out and wrestling John Cena. So I don't think that they really understand the caliber and the level of fighting that I actually am participating in. But I try to keep it a little separate. But the staff there, who honestly is who I'm a little bit more, I try to be there a little bit more for, because I know that developing a relationship with a kid once a week is difficult. But if I can take a little bit of the stress off from the staff, because that is an incredibly stressful job, if I can go in for a few hours a week and just take a little bit of stress off of them, then I think that they appreciate it. And that's nice for me to try to give back to them, so that they're a little bit more refreshed, so that when they go form relationships, they can be a little bit stronger.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, thank you, Cory. That is all the time we had for you, sir. You were good to go.
Cool, thanks, guys.
And next up, we will be joined by UFC bantamweight Cody Garbrandt.
They're going to top out of this. So go here and through here.
All right, we are now joined by former UFC bantamweight champion and current number 9 ranked contender Cody Garbrandt. Cody, thank you for the time today, sir.
I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
We will take the first question from Roman Madrowski with ESPN.
Sorry about that. Hey, Cody, I want to get your thoughts on the other bantamweight bout between Aljamain and Cody, and if you have a prediction, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I really don't care about the other bantamweights. Just focus on my fight. May the best man win those fights, and look forward to future matchups with them in the future, and see how this bantamweight division unfolds after this weekend, and going from there.
Cool. Thank you.
We will take the next question from Caroline Pierce with BT Sport.
Cody, Caroline Pierce here. It's been a while. Love the beard. How are you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, the quarantine beard.
I like it a lot. Look, it's been a tough time for you. The time off, the injuries, hospitalization that you talked about, as well as obviously the losses. Talk to us about what's been the biggest challenge for you during this time.
I think that life has thrown a lot of challenges. Inside a career, outside of the career, life itself. For me, it wasn't really a challenge. It was just about staying motivated, staying driven. Knowing that life is a marathon, not a sprint. Just constantly reminding myself. You go through these hardships in your life, these hard roads you have to battle up. But I knew that losing the title was going to be a hard thing to do, but to regain it was even going to be harder. So I had to just basically, physically, mentally build myself up for what I was able to do. What was able to need to be done to reclaim that title. And I feel like I've battled my demons. I've corrected a lot of my, errors, mistakes, things that I needed to do. Got out of my comfort zone, went to New Jersey, spent time away from, my comfort zone and my family, my, everything that I've known. So I went, coast to coast, and I think this is going to be a huge, payoff coming Saturday night.
Well, talk to us about that not moving, but splitting your time between Team Alpha Male, Mark Henry, Ricardo Almeida. What have they added to your arsenal? Where do you feel that you've grown in that time with that additional work and that change of scenery that you've had?
I feel like my coaches from Team Alpha Male, my coach from New Jersey, Ricardo Almeida, Coach Henry, they've added a lot, just with the coaches of Team Alpha. They've all blended everything together and just, always constantly, each camps have been just reminding me to be myself, do what I invest at is, be a fighter, be an athlete, and, just remind myself to have fun, to fall in love again with the sport, to have that passion, that fire. And I think that's a difference from this fight camp to the last fight camps going in, leading up to the fight, that I'm hungry again. My passion burns everything that's ever have, and just very thankful that fire's back. It sucks to lose it. I love fighting so much that I hate it at times, and every time that I try to walk away from fighting, I feel like I was always drawn back. And this is my true purpose in life, is to be a fighter and use these God-given skills that I was blessed with to provide for my family, to make a better life for myself, to become the best in the world. And just putting the hard work in and the daily grind is going to be a huge payoff come Saturday.
Really can't wait to see that. You must have confidence, what you can do with your hands. It sounds like obviously you've been working on the ground game even more as well. Sometimes in the past, there's been a tendency that your emotions can both show us great showmanship in the octagon, but also, have got the better of you a little bit. You talked about the psychological work that you've done as well. What does that look like? And is the plan against Assuncao, who's not an emotional guy in himself, he's not going to really rile you up, is the plan to sort of taper that a little bit?
I have a nice game plan, just be myself in there, just be myself and have fun, mix things up, become the martial artist I know that I am, I know I've been working on. So just about having fun, man. I'm excited. This whole week, even getting here, it's just felt great to be here, fight week, getting the Reebok here, the smallest things, checking in, getting picked up from the airport, like those small things you take for granted. I think you lose sight of those sometimes. Just excited to go through this journey of fight week and have those feels again, get goosebumps thinking about it, your heart races when you think about the fight. And I think that's a difference, mentally, physically, emotionally, I'm invested in this sport again, if you want to call fighting a sport, but I'm all in, I felt like after I won the title, I didn't set goals after. Obviously I had injuries. I was more worried about staying healthy and getting healthy. So I wasn't able to visualize what my next plans were, what my next goals were. And that's what I've done my whole entire life, was visualization, manifest my future. And all I could really focus on was just staying healthy, getting healthy, rehabbing through my injuries. And now I was able to have that time to really reflect and just train and get back to the grind. Hard work pays off. That's as simple as that. Hard work pays off.
And all of this will obviously be targeted towards Raphael Assuncao. What challenge does he bring to the table, to the cage, if you like?
I have a lot of respect for Assuncao. He's been, there's not many WC guys left around, and he's one of those guys that fought and, been in the top 5, for quite some time now. He doesn't bring the most exciting fights. He's kind of more of a counter striker. So, just for me, it's just, my game plan is just to stay busy, do more than him, and, push the pace on him and make him fight.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this new revived and energized version of you in there. So best of luck.
Thanks, Carolyn.
And we will take our next questions from Nolan King with USA Today.
Appreciate the time today, man. Just kind of going off of what was just asked of you. You talked about the mental side of things and the physical adjustments. When you go back and you look at the 3 losses that you had and the changes that you've made, what do you think the biggest adjustment you've had to make coming into this fight is?
The hard working, believed in it, just didn't go in and, clock in. I went in for a purpose to get better each day, to push myself to the limit. I always train hard, always do that, but really investing in myself, becoming a better martial artist. I mean, I traveled 3,000 miles across the country, left my family, left the comforts of my home, left my comfort zone to get out of it, and that's what I really need. I had new guys, that are hungry to challenge me, to be battle tested, come back to Sacramento in between camps. And the same guys, are still battle testing me, and so just getting ready for war, getting ready for that battle, and just putting yourself in those tough situations, getting out of your comfort zone, and just putting the work in. That's really what's different, no excuses, no injuries, no mental setbacks, no emotional setbacks. Just really trying to find peace in my life. My family brings that to me, and knowing when I was away from them, what I was sacrificing, what I was missing out on, just are going to contribute to my success on Saturday night.
And you've talked in the past about potentially moving down to flyweight. Is that still on your plate after this one?
We'll see, man. We'll see how the bantamweight shakes up. I want to be the best in the world, and that's what I set out to do. If it's in my cards to go down to 25 and become the flyweight champion as well as the bantamweight champion, then we'll do that. We'll talk with my coaches and managers. But first and foremost, I have a tough adversary in Raphael Assuncao this Saturday. I'm focused on. But you always try to have your second move ready to go. But it's getting back to the throne. That's what I want. I want the bantamweight title back. I very excited for that opportunity to climb the ranks again. Once a hunter, always a hunter.
And what do you think the game, like the map to that title shot is? You feel like with just a couple more wins here, given your name, given that you're a former champion, you could be right back in that mix. You could be the one fighting for the title.
Just go out there and be myself. Go out there and fight the way that I fight. Put on performances. Starch people. First, second, third, fourth, whatever round I have to do it in. Just cool, calm, and collected. Just really show my growth. I look at it as like a lot of people look at a loss and failure or setback as no progress, but for me it was like I've had to learn the hard way my whole entire life, and I feel like I won the title at 25. I was 25 years old, 11-0 world champion. I lost it early, and I feel like I'm still, I'm in my prime yet. I'm 28 years old. I feel every day I'm getting better as a martial artist, as a human, as a man. So I just feel like my best days are ahead of me, and just knowing that life's a marathon, not a sprint. So whatever it takes to get back to that title shot, to become a world champion, I'm mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared to do whatever it needs to be done.
Good luck Saturday, Cody. Appreciate the time, man.
And we will take our next set of questions from Mike Heck with MMA Fighting.
Hey, Cody, as you know, in the sport, especially, hindsight is a fickle beast. And you sort of alluded to, you got pushed pretty quickly. You became a champion in just 4 years as a pro after just 11 fights. If you could do things differently and get yourself out of your comfort zone, like you talked about, and learn these lessons a little earlier on, would you do it? Or is this an important part of your story and your journey?
Yeah, I would never change anything in my life. I feel like whatever stage you're in, or whatever you're going through, you're going to grow through. I truly believe that the Lord puts you in places in your life for learning experiences, setbacks, success. Like, are you prepared for the success that's going to come with a win? Are you prepared what's going to have to be done with a loss? And I've battled my demons. I face myself. I face my insecurities, my setbacks, and really study those, and really like, all right, I'm gonna. It's on me to turn this around. It's not any coach, any teammate. It's on myself, and just being real with yourself and true with yourself and what needs to be done, and that's just putting the hard work in. Grinding completely in every facet of every martial arts discipline you need to do. You need to work on this. You need to work on that, and just becoming a better martial artist is what has really changed my eyes. Going to Jersey has really been a blessing for me. I hate change. Change in my life is I always was like, I'd come home from school, my mom would move the furniture around, and I would literally get physically sick because it would change. So sometimes, I think that we look at change as a negative reflection in our life. But some change is good. This has been a good change. A little bit of insanity. That you can go in there and do the same, kind of game plan or same approach to the fighting like I have. That's insane. It's being insane. So just really just soul searching, man. Just talking with myself. It's me versus me always. It's never my adversary or my opponent that's in front of me. It's always if I can battle myself, I can defeat myself. Then I'm gonna go and be victorious against any opponent. Because whatever I do, I'm the harshest critic of myself, and on the corrections and just being real with myself. No excuses, no nothing. Just I wouldn't change anything, man. Like I don't see anyone else that was brought up. Not too many people was brought up like I was, especially in the fight game. I fought everybody. I fought the top contenders, the undefeated knockout artists. 8-0s, the 21-0s. I made us, starched them. Everybody they put in front of me, knocked them out. Couldn't beat Dominic Cruz. Masterclass performance against them. And for me, once I obtained that goal, like I said, of being a world champion, I dreamed about it since I was a teenager. I obtained that goal. I got injured shortly after. I couldn't manifest or visualize myself inside the octagon or defending the title because I was so focused on staying healthy. I had a huge back injury. I tore my back. I had an annual tear and went to Germany. I did stem cells. I did everything I could besides going under the knife to get surgery. And then that took a long time to rehab and rebuild. Any sport, any athlete knows it's, the physicality of it is intense, but the emotional, mental side of it is like, hey, can I push this without it doing it again? So kind of was like held back a little bit in my training, so I wasn't super prepared, but I just got back to that, like, that physical grind, the physical grind, man. I ended up landing myself in the hospital for a week because I had a kidney infection, just training too hard. But I got out of the hospital and was right back to work, and that's it, man. You have to go through those things. You're gonna be faced with so many different things in this sport, ups and downs, highs and lows, and I feel like life goes in the same way. You just gotta find that balance of life and fighting and career and balance it all. And I feel like I've done a great job as of lately, the last year, I would say, to really balance the father, the husband, the fighting, being able to turn it on and off, the switch when it's go time, to where I'm in focus fully in camp, and just really working through everything that life throws at me.
Has this all provided some valuable lessons for you to pass on to your son as well, to know that sometimes life's going to throw you some curveballs, but it's how you react to them, how you bounce back from them and move forward that defines who you are as a person?
Yeah, definitely. I have eyes on me. My son looks up to me. He watches every single thing I do. I'll shadowbox in the house, and I'll see Kai shadowboxing, or I'll, just doing this. Me and my wife trip out all the time because he just listens to us. He just absorbs everything that we do and say and how we act. So I want to be a good example for him. You know what I mean? Like, completely be like someone. I want him to be proud to be like, Cody's my father. And that's my father. You know what I mean? That's something that at the end of the day, whether how many titles I have or defend, or how many fights I win from here on out, he knows that I give it my all. I never gave up. When the going got tough, I never took a knee. You know what I mean? I might have bent a little bit, but I never broke. I got up. No matter times I got knocked down, keep getting up and fighting for a better life for him. Just to show him, like, sometimes life doesn't go as you plan. You gotta roll with the punches and keep going. So that's for everybody. That's for everybody in life. That hopefully I can inspire a lot of people to not give up if they're going through hard times, or I was on top of the world. I was a world champion, young, had everything, had the world at my fingertips, and I'm on a 3-fight skid, but that never deterred me from what I feel like I am. I'm the best bantamweight in the world, and I get to showcase that again June 6th with a refound love of the sport, passion, fire burning. Just this one's for my soul. This is what I need. As much as I try to have that hatred for fighting, I'm always pulled back into it because I need fighting more than fighting needs me. And at the end of the day, that's my purpose, and this is how I'm going to hopefully help a lot of people get inspired and motivated. And my son is looking at me, watching my every move, to just remember that everything happens for a reason. No matter where you're at in life, you gotta just keep, with your head down or head up, and keep chugging along.
So the hunger is clearly there. The desire to compete is certainly there. but I've talked to you a few times over the years. I have to say, outside of the quarantine beard there, you are about as relaxed as I've ever seen you heading into a fight. Is this the most relaxed you've been?
Yeah, I get goosebumps thinking about it, man. Like, I don't know. I think that I've done everything in my power. I left no stone unturned this camp. I've literally been training so hard. Right after Christmas, I went to New Jersey, trained for Jersey, and obviously had a kidney infection. Right after I got out of the hospital, I went and searched for the best kidney specialist to make sure my kidneys were okay, and just got back to work. I didn't want to let it all go to waste. No matter what I was going through, just grinding through all the bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit that life throws at you, and you just gotta grind through that stuff. And as simple as that, I know I said it in the past interview or the past question, is like hard work pays off. You just always gotta remember, hard work will always pay off. You can be the most talented, the most gifted, the fastest, the strongest, whatever. If you're not working hard, you're not gonna get the results you want. And that's all you have to do is just grind. Nobody cares about your excuses. Nobody cares about what happened yesterday, today, what you have going on next week. It's about what's going on. Or did you put in enough work for this camp? Did you put in enough time to go in there? If Raphael's going to give me my best pace, he's going to be able to withstand everything that I am. Am I able to do enough in him to win this fight? And I just know that I've done that. I know that I can go in there and put him in deep waters and drown his ass.
I appreciate all the candor, Cody. All the best to you on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the time, Cody. That is all we have for you. You are good to go, sir.
All right. That was the easiest one I've done. Media scrum. Good.
Yep, perfect.
Cool. All right, guys.
That's great, man.
And next up, we will have the last athlete for the day, UFC featherweight Alex Caceres. All right, we now welcome UFC featherweight Alex Caceres. Alex, thank you for joining us, sir.
Oh, thank you for having me on. How's it going?
It's going well, thank you. We will take the first question from Jay Anderson with Cage Side Press.
Hey, thanks very much, and welcome back, Alex. This is an interesting one going up against a young kid in Chase Hooper. You were pretty young yourself when you entered the UFC, and I've been competing for a couple of years. Can you kind of relate to where he is in his career right now, and does that help you in any way going into this?
I haven't really given that much thought. I don't believe age has anything to do with it. He's 9-0, so he definitely has cage experience. I'm not sure that fight jitters might be a factor. I never really try to look for any of those small types of advantages. I'm just going to solely rely on the skill and the experience that I have in order to come out on top in this fight. But other than that, being young or being inexperienced, it might play a factor, but I'm not in his head, so I can't relate to what he might be going through.
What are your thoughts about fighting in the empty venue? Because we've heard a lot of things, like fighters can hear, the commentators and, the lack of crowd. Sometimes that's a motivating factor. What's your take on it?
I feel like it might be like the fights in Japan, to be honest with you. The crowd is completely silent during the fight, so I can hear the commentators and you can hear everybody talking. You can even hear your opponent breathe. That's how quiet it gets in those stadiums. So I think it might be similar to that. And I'm not put off by no crowd. I've actually been liking the way things been going on this fight week with not so much public interference. We were just making it about the fight and focusing on the fight. And quite honestly, I believe fighting in front of no crowd with just your coaches there and stuff, it might just feel like a glorified sparring match.
Interesting. What's fight week been like as well? Because obviously you're a little more confined than usual, I guess.
That's been nice, you know, just focusing on the fighting training. It's like a, I guess, fight camp or just training every day. Though what I usually do, I'm not too much of a public person. If anything, I keep to myself. I stay home, I chill and train, and you know, I go out sparingly. But other than that, it hasn't been too much of a hassle. It's been a very easy weight cut as well. So I've been feeling good.
Good to hear. And last one for me. I mean, you've been in the UFC for so long now. It kind of feels like you're one of those guys who's experienced everything. But the last few months, and especially even the past week in America, has been just unprecedented times. Just give us your thoughts on that. And, you know, have you been able to maintain your focus on the goal ahead with everything that's going on?
Well, definitely the fight comes first, the art comes first for me. So I have been able to maintain focus. But I always keep an eye on I guess the social uproars and all the stuff that's going on in America. It's not ever outside of my mind sight. I know that this has been going on. It's nothing new to me. It's been going on, and I personally experience such things like racism and those kind of things. So I know it's prevalent in America, and it's always there. We're just videotaping more of it, quite honestly, because we got better cameras and phones, and everybody is documenting these things going down. So I do believe that it is a problem, and it has been a problem for many, many years. And I think the way, especially the minority communities, has to look into solving them is really changing the way they think, changing the way they treat each other, as well as their communities. Instead of relying on somebody else outside of your community to maintain and make your community progress, you have to take that responsibility upon yourself. But a lot of us in America in general, we just think that all because it's not our responsibility to end a task, we devoid ourselves from any responsibility of beginning it.
And I appreciate your candor there. And I know you said you'd experienced some yourself. Would you mind sharing, and you totally don't have to, but would you mind sharing some of those experiences?
Well, yeah. Well, growing up in, I grew up in a bad neighborhood, and then we moved to the suburbs a little bit later, and then just that itself, I experienced it very difficult for me when I was younger to talk to people or connect with people because they saw me in one way, and oftentimes, you know, like they'll say stuff like, you know, like they can't accept the way your hair is, or you're ugly because you have dark skin. So it really caused an identity crisis for me, and I'm sure a lot of people of darker pigments growing up. But besides that point, there are some even more crazier situations. Like I remember when I was in high school, I had a Honda Civic. I blew out a tire, and I had, and I think the engine just shut off. So I had to go push it home. And as I was pushing the car home, you know, on the shoulder of the road, I'm pushing the car home. A cop comes and screeches right behind me to a screeching stop, jumps out the car, gun already drawn, pointing it at me and barking orders. And then what I could make out was he wanted to see my ID. So my ID's in the car. So I'm like, I'm gonna go get my ID. The minute I stop pushing the car to grab my ID, he clicks the trigger back, you know, and just like, don't move. And I'm like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm gonna get on the ground and I'm not gonna do anything. You can grab my ID if you want. But more than one occasion, situations like that has happened to me. So I lose a lot of faith in the people that are supposedly there to protect you. I feel threatened when a cop pulls up around me or when they're near me because I know how situations can escalate for no reason. Absolutely. I remember being in a concert in another high school, and I got into an argument with a security guard there because he tried to physically manhandle me and was not successful. Therefore, when I was walking back out of the school because I'm trying to avoid the conflict, a police officer just jumps from behind me and puts me in a chokehold and tries to bring me down. I defended myself, and he starts screaming, I'm a cop, like, and then they brought us into the whole principal's office, and thank God the superintendent and the counselor there was on my side. He said, well, you can't just do that to people because people are going to react in that way. You can't treat people that way. We can't expect people to walk around completely docile You know, we're human beings and we all are entitled to our own freedoms. And my freedom ends where yours begins. So we should stop trying to encroach on people's freedoms that way. We can't treat people like they're cannon fodder, I should say.
Yeah, man, that's wild. I really appreciate you sharing that with us, and best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
And we will take the next question from Mike Heck with MMA Fighting.
Actually, I forgot to put my hand down. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Thank you, Mike. We will instead take our next question from Danny Segura with MMA Junkie.
Hey, Alex, how's it going? It's been a little bit since we've talked. The last time we spoke, you told me you were relocating to South Florida. So how did that go? How did that process go? And how was your training camp this time around since, you know, you have a new home?
The process went well. Still looking for a new place because I did get a house, but I am looking for some land. So I might move a little bit further south or north, depending on where I find the best deal. But the training camp went perfectly. We didn't close down for the pandemic, at least not for the professional fighters. So we were able to maintain a solid and complete training camp for this fight.
Yeah. Where'd you train, and were you able to bring anyone from the MMA lab to South Florida?
Oh, no, I wasn't able to. And quite honestly, the reason for that is I just totally forgot. And but other than that, I still have their love and support. And, you know, they're texting me every day and we're talking and stuff. And, you know, they're picking apart the fights and whatnot and giving me their insight on it. So we still have a close relationship. But no, I don't have anybody from the lab coming out to my corner. I tried to get Ben out here. He has his hands full with 3 kids already. So.
Yeah, for sure. And when we spoke, you told me you needed some time off to sort of just, you know, figure things out, sort of life outside of the cage. Now that you're like just a couple of days away from the actual fight, is it nice to be on fight week? Because you haven't fought in almost a year. How's that feeling like to sort of be back in fighting?
Well, it feels great. You know, feels good. It feels good. The time off was necessary. I tried to come back a little earlier, but some fights fell through, and then this whole virus thing happened, and then we couldn't. So I was a little bit out longer than I wanted to be. But other than that, I feel completely happy to be back inside this fight game again, and I'm excited to showcase my skills. I feel like I've improved a lot on a lot of places that I needed to improve on, and I'm quite ready.
Yeah. And you're one of the fighters that sees yourself, you know, not really as a fighter, but as a martial artist. Is it nice to have this Chase Hooper matchup because, you know, you're kind of testing your skills with the new generation, with sort of the new kids that are coming up and bringing sort of new techniques and new ideas to the game?
Well, yeah, it won't be my first time fighting the newcomers into the game or the young guys and stuff. I feel like I tend to have a few fights like that. So I haven't really thought about that per se, but other than that, I feel good going into the fight. I'm not worried. If anything, I know that, you know, with the way things have gone with my record and my career in running, I know that I'm somewhat of a gatekeeper at this moment, and I will accept my position, but I won't be satisfied with it. I am trying to push further every single day, but I know where I'm at right now in the standpoints, especially when it comes to rankings and I guess what everybody else sees, but I know what I'm capable of. So for me, it's like you said, it's a good proving ground.
Yeah. That's interesting. A lot of fighters might not like admit that as far as like feeling maybe like they're gatekeepers. What do you think, you know, since you want to break out of that, what do you think it will take to sort of get out of that label?
Well, definitely, I got to win fights. You know, that's definitely the major thing, and I think it's probably the only factor. I have to put together victories in my fights. You know, and being exciting, it comes with who I am. So I don't have to try to do that. All I got to do is just try and put together victories. But other than that, even victories or no victories, I feel like in every fight that I step into and every time I step into the cage, once again, we do see improvement. We do see and it's hard for me to see it after the fight, you know, because we're always down and out if I do lose, but I do see improvement. I do see my game getting better, and wholeheartedly, my ultimate goal is to improve myself every single day. Of course, it would be nice to try and win as many fights as I can and put my name out there, get the title, become a contender, get on the top 5 ranking spots. That's a beautiful thing. And I know it comes with the hard work and trying to be better every day. So I just have to continue that journey, and whatever happens will happen. But at the end of the day, I'm a martial artist and I just want to fight. Everything else is extra. I can take those gifts and rewards and at the same time relinquish them, because there's nothing more than you're actually getting in there and testing your abilities with the best in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned that you were looking to buy some land. You're finally going to set up the farm?
Well, yeah, garden. Well, I have like mini farms in the backyards of both houses that I have right now. So I have like over 20 fruit trees in one of my backyards. So I always love growing and planting stuff. But yeah, when I do get the land, I definitely want to grow in a larger scale, as well as set up my dojo there. And my wife wants to set up her wellness center there. So we kind of go into business together. I train and work people out. She'll heal them because she just finished getting her degree in naturopathic medicine. So we're thinking about doing something like that. Trying to develop a new way of living, I guess, that is more sustainable for each of us as well as the earth, so that we can stop thinking that life is just this way, that we just got to get up and work for somebody else, or that we got to take pills in order to thrive, and all that kind of just the BS of it all. We're accepting mediocrity as life. And for me, as far as I know it, I've never seen somebody that died and came back. So we don't know if we got more lives ahead of us. I only have this one. So why am I going to live a life of mediocrity? I'm going to take the chance and fail if I have to, than rather sit there and do nothing because I'm afraid to even try.
For sure, man. All right, man. We're looking forward to the fight, and best of luck with the farm.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. That is all the time we had for you, sir. You are good to go.
Thank you.
Oh, good work, man.
And with that, we would like to thank everyone for joining today's event. If you have not yet registered for the UFC 250 Nunes versus Spencer post-fight media availability and you wish to do so, please register today. We will just